Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here and for waiting for us. I really appreciate it. My name is Suzie Dawson. I am a journalist and activist and the current leader of the Internet Party of New Zealand. And I am here with the talented, gorgeous Elizabeth Lea Vos, who is the editor-in-chief of Disobedient Media.
Hey guys, nice to see you all again.
I notice we've got more and more people joining us every episode now, so I thought I would just do a super quick intro and just let you know what it is that we do here. So this is Decipher You, hashtag Decipher You on Twitter. It is a series where we analyze Snowden documents, NSA documents from the Signals Intelligence Directorate, known as the SID Today files. They have been released in bulk by The Intercept. And we study every single line of every single document to find the stories that have been missed by the media and to analyze those findings with our amazing audience who help us to research and who interact with us and are just generally extremely cool. So we're going to be continuing with batch 5 of the documents. You can find our analysis of the first 4 batches at decipheryou.com. Plenty of articles too on disobedientmedia.com, Elizabeth's publishing site, about the series, or by just reviewing the hashtag #DecipherYou on Twitter. So I'm just going to check chat real fast and say hi to you guys before we get into it. Hey, Eric. Hey, there's new people here already. Hey, Chris. Hey, Rick. Hey, Rory. Hey, Mia. I can never say your name properly. Hi, Flower Power. You can see Elizabeth in chat too. Oh, it looks like our friends from, we've got an amazing journalist from Bangladesh who's joined us as well. Hi, Joe Public and Julie S. M. Harrison, Molly May. Oh my gosh, so many new people. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's amazing. Elizabeth, have you got anything you want to update us on before we get started?
Not really. I've just had a kind of a busy week publishing with Disobedient Media, and I've had a number of appearances, and this morning I was on the radio with Fault Lines. So been busy kind of covering the news that we've published in this last week, obviously about Syria and Julian Assange and all of that. So it's been a really busy news cycle, sometimes a depressing news cycle, but definitely keeps us busy, providing an alternate view on these events that you just won't find in legacy and establishment media. So busy for us, definitely.
Yeah, there has been so much going on at the moment, I know, and I know that's why you've been working so hard, and many others have been. Updates from my end, we are still extremely concerned about Julian being in effective solitary confinement in the Ecuadorian embassy, and we have been watching developments really closely. By now, you guys have probably worked out that there is a new movement forming called Unity for J. It's at Unity for number 4J on Twitter, and we're using the hashtag #Unity4J. So we're currently planning an event that I can't yet give you the details of, but it is going to be a spectacular event. And there is a large number of extremely cool people working on it. Very soon we will release the website and press release, and then you'll have a lot more details about it, but keep an eye out. So for those of you who saw the #Reconnect Julian stream that we did 2 weeks ago, which was a pretty phenomenal success, it was very widely shared on Twitter and on social media. And actually, I was amazed, even New Zealand MSM actually covered that event, which is a very rare thing to do. But so did RT and a number of international publications as well. That event brought together whistleblowers and celebrities and journalists who were all in support of Julian, and we did a 10-hour vigil stream. So with Unity for J, we're looking to do something even bigger, even better, even brighter, and hopefully which will do Julian justice and will make a very public push for his emancipation. So that's why I'm a little bit quiet at the moment on Twitter, because I've been organizing in the background, putting my activist skills to good use, and we should have some really cool stuff to share with you in this coming week. Any questions before we get started, you guys? Anything that you want us to chat about really quickly before I get into the documents? And thank you. So just got to say a personal thank you as well. I have been really, really humbled and amazed by people who have been really generously donating to me this week. Yes, I live in exile and I am an asylum seeker, which means that I actually legally can't work and earn money here where I live. So I am living on due to the generosity of other people. So thank you so much to the people who have gone to Suzie3D.com and donated to me. You are literally keeping us fed and housed and the lights on for me. So thank you so much. It means the world to me. I hate having to ask, and I really appreciate everybody who's, oh my God, thank you. Someone's just said you're worth it, girl. It's really difficult for me because when I was in New Zealand, I was the provider. I was looking after other activists and helping people, and I lost my ability to do that, and now I'm the one needing help. So it means the world to me that you do help. Thank you so much. I'm just going to jump off video for a sec and load up these docs.
Yeah, and while we're organizing that, if anybody remembers which number we were on, that's always useful. I'm terrible with numbers. As I think I've said somewhere, maybe, I think it was on my own, like on Disobedient Media, on one of my videos with of our articles, that I mentioned the fact that I have dyscalculia, which means I actually have like dyslexia with numbers. So like, I mean, me writing the date down is a hazardous adventure for me. Like, I'm not joking. So, and that's, and I don't know how much I want to ramble on this, but basically that's one of the reasons that I end up making videos of our articles, because I know that for other people, you know, their dyslexia is with letters and words. And so I know that there are some very intelligent people out there who love the ideas we're talking about, but that, you know, maybe reading isn't something that they are really good at. So I just, that's why I make Disobedient Media videos. But anyway, yeah, so that's why, though, I'm always asking for the document number, because even if I remember, I will just like scramble it in my head. So. I'm just looking at what everybody's saying. It's good to see some old faces and some new names as well, for sure. Yeah, and if you guys go to Unity4J on Twitter, you should be able to find an account that is there for that, you know, planned event that will be coming up. So check that out if you want to.
Okay. Do we have a number?
I don't know. I don't see one in chat
database app. Okay, that's all right. I think we can work it out.
Yeah, wow, Arash is looking it up. Thank you, guys.
We're pretty much at 100 already. In fact, more than 100. That's really impressive. We're halfway through this batch.
Yeah, we actually made some really good progress last stream, I think. I had a board
notion, so the new customer account.
Huh?
We did the new customer account, NCTC. That was the National Centre for Terrorism Control.
Okay.
The Counterterrorism Centre. I remember having a nice big discussion about that. So I'm pretty sure that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And the letter to the editor about the SIGINT customers. Okay. Oh, God, it looks like we're starting with some GCHQ propaganda by the looks of it.
Fun. Fun. So that means we get to put our sarcasm voices on. I always like doing that. Actually, when I have to read those ones where it's like you just can't help but like want to vomit when you're reading it, that's actually kind of difficult to get through without just going, guys, I don't believe this stuff that I'm having to say right now. But yeah.
Okay, here we go. Elizabeth, I'll let you read. That would be awesome.
Okay. Not a problem. Okay, so we're starting with one titled SIGINT on the Go, Tablet PCs in London. The subtitle is Use of Lightweight Mobile Computers to Reduce Tedious Paper Handling at Customer Locations. Interesting. So the NSA is now operating in an era where information technology is omnipresent. Computer-based tools enable analysts to increase productivity and accountability while decreasing the cost and usage of resources. S12 is ambitiously pursuing the modernization of the SIGINT dissemination architecture by transforming many of the manual processes to electronic processes. Many of our SIGINT customers are not connected to NSA Net and must receive this product by alternative means. This alternative usually translates to a tedious and laborious process that must be endured daily by our forward deployed analysts. Due to the degree of labor involved in the manual preparation of the SIGINT product, this extraneous procedure oftentimes prevents analysts from participating in activities that will better assist their customers. And then it says that some analysts recognize, SUS-LOL, analysts recognize this problem and the need for change. Analysts residing in the SUS-LOL offices are required to manually filter through the released reports of multiple databases and manually select the reports that would be of interest to each customer. The reports must then be printed, collated, stapled, and customized to the desire of each customer. Next, the product must then be hand-delivered to each customer. In many cases, the analyst must remain with the customer as the product is read, after which the customer returns that product to the analyst. Finally, the analyst returns to his office, manually logs each report that was produced earlier that day for accountability purposes, and then disposes of the product by shredding each sheet of paper. The tablet PC will be used to facilitate the aforementioned process. The tablet PC physically offers a better solution to protect the end product. The write and print capabilities are disabled on the tablet PC, preventing the reproduction of SIGINT, and it also affords a better system for accountability. It is almost impossible to maintain positive surveillance of each sheet of paper that is produced each day, in addition to attending primary job functions. Using the tablet eliminates the logging of each sheet of paper and accounts for only a USB and the tablet PC itself. The tablet PC also offers the benefits of a searching capability to quickly locate important information and portability. S12 and SUS-LOL are currently working together to accredit the tablet PC for their spaces, but every great effort comes with great obstacles. NSA regulations state that the environment in which material is processed must be commensurate with the classification level of the material. This precept itself inhibits many of our non-NSA Net customers from receiving SIGINT either manually or electronically. Adhering to the NISCAP accreditation process, we have received preliminary accreditation to operate. SUS-LOL analysts will be able to employ the tablet PC to deliver and view SIGINT product in non-SCIF areas within the embassy. We are continuing to work with IAD to satisfy the requirements for a secure hardened tablet PC. This is a big achievement for the agency and a small step towards secure wireless dissemination. So I don't know, does it go on or is that the end of the document? Interesting. Okay. Suzie, what does this mean? Tell us.
Okay, so, oh, I think I managed to hide myself somehow.
I see you on my screen, but.
Okay, sorry, bear with me, I just fixed my settings. Or not, okay. I'll just put it on speaker view for now. So the SUS-LOL is a Special United States Liaison Office in London. Special United States Liaison Office.
Interesting.
And they are housed at the US Embassy in London. So this is the NSA staff at the US Embassy in London liaising with the
customers.
Brits.
And customers there.
And customers there. Yeah. Correct.
So that means we have British customers of the NSA. Did we know that before? That seems like
it depends who those customers are. So the Brits are obviously a second tier partner of the NSA and member of the Five Eyes. So they're a customer in that sense. The question is, are there British entities that are direct customers of the NSA rather than being customers? Because how it should work is that they're customers of the GCHQ. So the NSA's customers presumably are the American agencies, and the GCHQ's customers would be the British agencies. These liaison officers are like passing information between them generally. So the first thing that I found interesting about this was that it reminded me of like Get Smart, or one of the old, it's like this message will self-destruct, and then 30 seconds, please read it. You're not allowed to keep a copy. You can't like do anything with it, but just read this intelligence. And you wonder, like I found that whole process like quite remarkable, like that they have to just remember what they've read, or like they take notes with pen and paper, or like, but they're not allowed to actually keep or retain or hold on to the intelligence. Then that would mean that it wouldn't be GCHQ, because GCHQ have access to
exactly.
It
So
wouldn't be military, because we know they've got access to NSA net. So who is it that doesn't have access to NSA net, that doesn't have access to military networks, that can't access the classified information independently, that would be presented information and then have it immediately removed from them with no ability for them to make a copy?
Yeah.
Really strange. It does seem like it would be like a civilian customer.
That's what it's sounding like to me. That's what the read I got from that. So,
but then I don't know who.
Yeah, obviously. Well, we couldn't identify who exactly, but that raises interesting questions. To me, it's narrowing down some of these customers that we know exist that we just don't know who they are yet. Because
I think I've just found. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I just saw the stipulation at the bottom where it says the Special United States Liaison Office London analyst will be able to employ the tablet PC to deliver and view SIGINT product in non-SCIF areas within the embassy. So I'd say that's the answer, is that they're able to view the products within the secure compartmented intelligence, whatever they are, information facilities directly. But outside of that, they use these tablets.
I think that's incredibly interesting. And I think that I don't know if, I wouldn't even speculate on who this is, but I think that it's really, really, really interesting. And I think that I hope that we get some more information about this in future documents. But I guess do we want to move on to the next document, or?
No, we do. I'm still trying to fix my settings, which I have no idea how I managed to. Aha, I've found it. Okay, cool. I fixed it. Sorry, I was having camera issues. So yeah, I don't think that's particularly interesting. I mean, it's interesting, but in terms of like a finding, no, I wouldn't include that. I'm not going to add that to the notes. Okay. Yeah, here I think we're getting into the propaganda.
Okay.
Search and rescue. Men with Hill Station's role in saving lives from MHS operations staff. Sorry, I'm still coughing and drinking.
No, you're fine. Well, do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it? I honestly don't mind at all.
Yeah, if you would, that would be super cool for me.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Just minimize the picture of us, because the picture of us, as I'm reading.
That's what I was trying to hide. So,
yeah, I was trying to hide it because when I read it, it blocks a corner of the text. So then I have to just change it. It doesn't take me more than like 3 seconds. So we've got the subtitle.
Get rid of it?
Yeah, that's fine now.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, MHS picks up radio transmissions from downed air crews, informs rescuers of location. This is all, it looks like it's going to be about labeled secret. And it says Men with Hill Station, MHS, operators and analysts know that they have made significant contributions to saving lives. That's because they have been involved in combat search and rescue events since 1999. During a search and rescue event, MHS processes radio transmissions from downed pilots and soldiers and provides locational information to the rescue efforts. This, of course, must be done in a matter of minutes to be effective in a combat situation. The following article describes the CSAR program at MHS, gives some real examples, and takes a look into the future. Although CSAR program started in 1999 as a fledgling engineer-oriented program, MHS has achieved some noteworthy successes during and after Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. The first came in November 2001 when a US MH-53 helicopter crashed near Kabul, Afghanistan. MHS found the crew's radio signals, and the rescue personnel used this information to locate the downed aircrew and fly them to Pakistan. That same year, a B-1B aircraft issued a distress call before crashing approximately 80 miles north of Diego Garcia. MHS monitored the distress frequency and issued 21 Klieg lights before the aircraft personnel were recovered. And we're continuing with secret labeled paragraphs. And it says, in Iraq, MHS supported the rescue crews of several aircraft. MHS was able to quickly locate the area where 2 pilots ejected out of the F-14 over southern Iraq. The pilots were recovered within 90 minutes of the incident. And when a US CH-47 Chinook helicopter went down 60 miles southeast of Baghdad during an in-flight emergency in April 2004, MHS operators again supported the rescue efforts to recover all 5 personnel. MHS is able to respond so quickly to actual rescue events because it participates in exercises such as the Desert Rescue X-1, a joint CSAR exercise run by the Naval Strike and Air Warfare Center in Nevada. These exercises not only train the MHS operators, but also ensure the pilots and crew understand proper procedures in a crisis situation. In September 2003, MHS also successfully supported a UK SAS general exercise or training scenario that allowed the UK Special Forces to practice recovery of a simulated distress element in a real-world environment. The exercise consisted of a combat search and rescue test in the vicinity of Thumrait airfield in Oman. The MHS operators were able to pinpoint the crew's position from 15 seconds of a 1-watt voice transmission, an incredible feat. Because of its remarkable success in CSAR events and exercises, MHS has become a center of excellence for CSAR within the intelligence community. This is due to our high standards in training and evaluation, processing, and reporting procedures. Indeed, each new successful rescue has fueled increased support requirements from the combat commands and service training communities. MHS has also seen an increased liaison, marketing, and training role within the UK and US military in Europe. Menwith Hill will continue to improve the technology and procedures to meet the growing technical and training challenges of a CSAR environment that now includes 5 different radios with vastly different capabilities and processing requirements, the expansion of mission to include our allies, and near continuous operations since 9/11. And then unclassified, it says, because of classification restrictions, this article could not go into greater detail. If you're interested in more information on the CSAR program, please contact redacted, et cetera, et cetera. And that looks like the end of the article from where I'm sitting. So I can see what you mean about it basically being propaganda. Did you see anything interesting here or not?
You know, to be fair, let's just stop the share. To be fair, this is actually an example of a proper function.
Interesting. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, this is a proper function. They're monitoring radio signals of downed aircraft. Like, this is something that is entirely reasonable for them to do. I expected it to be propagandistic because I thought that it was going to really put, like, they have a tendency to dress like their operations as being just about terrorism or just about whatever, and then, you know, reading through between the lines and in the other documents we discover that's not at all the case.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the many documents we've read about where they're trying to convince people of reasons to go to Iraq, right? And it's always like, Christmas is so wonderful in Iraq with the Santa Claus, and it's like, you know, stuff like this.
There are not as many bombs as you would think. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We don't, you know, it's not as many mortar attacks as the news tells you. But this, I would say, this is definitely a proper function. Menwith Hill Station, this is in the UK. This is the GCHQ base, and that's why they're supporting SAS. So I didn't see anything in there that is problematic.
And they didn't actually seem to oversell themselves too much. I mean, yeah, they were saying, oh, this is an amazing feat, but it wasn't like that really pompous language. The vibe I got from this was pretty much okay, you know?
Well, how they're talking about like monitoring radio signals of downed planes is like, this is similar to how we know from one of the other documents, they're monitoring radio signals of media. in
True,
Iraq.
very true.
So
Yeah.
that's what I mean by this is an example of a proper function where they're actually doing something entirely reasonable, which is saving the lives of people who've been in air crashes, military members who've been in air crashes. I'm totally fine with that. I'm not fine with them tracking journalists and, you know, monitoring radio signals of people who are performing their jobs, as we've seen with the other documents.
You know, it might be interesting.
Really legit.
Yeah, I think it might be interesting to write like one line, you know, when you do your write-up. I think it would be interesting to say, here is a proper function, like, because we've seen so much we have a huge issue with, that it's useful to note when we do see something that is okay. And I think also it helps to, I guess, give them at least that credit, because I think that the one criticism I've gotten about the Decipher You stuff from people is, God, you know, veterans are going to be watching you and they're going to think that you guys are just hitting them and it's really bad. And I disagree with that. But I think that if we do give that proper credit, then I think that that is positive. And I think it's something that makes us, you know, fair and not just attacking them, which is fair enough in these other documents that we've seen where there is something really kind of nefarious happening. So
my response to that would be that these horrific findings that we have been making have absolutely nothing to do with veterans. The veterans are not responsible for any of them. For example, the faulty intelligence provided to Colin Powell and George W. Bush to sell the Iraq War, the documents that where NSA is bragging about having supplied that intelligence, that's got nothing to do with a combat veteran, a combat troop who's been sent to these wars to be the blood and guts on the front line. Like, you know, at the end of the day, be the cannon fodder on the front line. Like, I actually see the combat troops as victims, because they are the ones being sent. Their bodies are being put on the line for these wars that internally they know full well are based on lies and a total bullshit.
I completely agree.
This series is not at all about slamming veterans. And
I know.
Look at I'm saying this for the benefit of any who are watching.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And or listening. Then we look at, you know, the oversight issues where the NSA is openly saying we can't let our overseers impose like rules on us. We you know, the total resistance, the cultural resistance inside NSA. Once again, that's not coming from veterans. That's not coming from rank and file. That was coming from the congressional liaison office executives. This is coming from the higher ups.
Exactly.
And time and time again, even the documents we found where NSA employees are complaining about stuff that the NSA is doing, these are directives from the director of the NSA. This, once again, it's not combat troops, it's not veterans, it's not your rank and file people that are doing these corrupt things.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it is the veterans that are paying the price for the corruption.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important that you made that distinction, because I think that although I know that having worked with you through these documents, I think maybe some viewers may not really make that distinction as we're going through. And that's one comment that I got from a viewer in private. So I just thought that it's good to make that distinction for people, and so that they understand where we're coming from and what the overall findings are from these documents, that they are, as you said, addressing these higher ups and their decisions, which, as you said, also affect the people on the ground so much. So definitely good points.
I'd also say that if people go to DecipherYou.com and they read the findings, the writing style that I use on DecipherYou.com is completely different, stands in contrast to my journalism. So when you read my other articles, like on Consciousment or wherever else I'm published, they are like long narrative investigative pieces, thousands of words. On Decipher You, I keep it it's actually really clinical. It's like, this is what we found, here's the link to the document. And it's like within one paragraph. And I'm really careful that none of the language is hyperbolic. Like, none of it is opinion. My opinion is not in the Decipher You writing. If you look at the Decipher You writing, it is very, very matter of fact.
Absolutely.
And it's built entirely around the source document, so that you just click the document and you read the document for yourself. So I'm literally just saying, I'm just stating a fact, linking the document, stating a fact, linking the document. There's no narrative. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I'm not, it's not prose. There's no prose in it whatsoever. And that makes it really concise. So because I'm writing literally only 1 or 2 lines about each, in fact, we can even go and have a look at it, and I'll show you guys just
that
really
might be
quickly.
useful, because I don't think we've ever screen shared DecipherYou.com with our viewers and audience and collaborators. So that might be really cool for people to see that this site does exist. I've mentioned it a few times in different videos, different interviews or whatever, but yeah, I don't think, for whatever reason, we've just never gone there while we're on stream. So this is cool. And yeah, when I've done a couple of articles about our findings, some of the articles have relied on Suzie's findings written up in this way. I believe especially the first article I did that was based on batch 3. So
yeah, like this, like here's the first finding. There is an, actually I'll up the text size, it might help people. There is an oblique reference to Transformation 2.0, which in the context it is placed in reads as if it is some kind of strategic directive or change management program. So like there's literally no opinion in that, it's just stating what it is. It is followed by talk of allowing people in other agencies with unique expertise to access data that they wouldn't otherwise be able to by having them swim upstream. And the black text is the links. If you mouse over those, it'll take you to the document. So that's the first one. Next one. The Director of Central Intelligence gives out denial and deception awards. Over 100 NSA employees were on the awards list. So this is what I mean. There's absolutely no prose, no narrative, no... It's just totally clinical fact document. As far as back as 2003, the US relationship with Turkey was seriously weakened, and the US was unlikely to champion Turkey's cause with Europe. Again, same thing. Then here, this is more lengthy because this is referencing multiple documents, and it's about the congressional oversight. The files show an obsession with controlling the flow of information to congressional overseers and adherence to established protocols for responding to requests from them. These seem to be largely budget related. In a document titled SID's Interactions with Congress, Setting the Budget, there is a reference to a 761-page congressional budget justification book for the 2004 fiscal year and an explanation of budget markups. In a document titled SID's Interactions with Congress Communications, there is a reference to opportunities to influence the markups in the budget, and it is stressed that Congress should hear both good news as well as bad news from us before they read it in the paper. Bad news includes power outages that have resulted in degradation of service or security breaches at field stations, which in theory means that congressional overseers learned about the Snowden leaks before reading them in the Washington Post or the Guardian. So, and it goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go through them because there's so many of them. You can go and like just read through yourself.
And we've made, I mean, a lot of our longtime viewers have seen us, you know, make these findings. I remember, like, as you're going through, I remember these findings and making them with you. So, but for the newer people, this is a great resource to go through if you don't want to sit through the hours and hours of our previous streams. This is a really great way to catch up on the information that we've gone through. And yeah, I think that completely, I mean, that it totally explains for anybody that had that type of criticism along that line. I think that totally explains and diffuses that whole argument. And I think that would really only come from people that really hadn't sat down and watched us and heard us talk about these documents and what's in them. So that's just a comment I got. But
yeah, I think there's many different aspects to Decipher You. Like we do often talk about our personal beliefs on Decipher You because it's us, Definitely. It's our names, it's our faces on the stream. But I don't think that should be confused with the output of the document analysis. Definitely. Because as I've just showed you, that is, clinical is the only word I can come up with because I'm literally stating a fact and sourcing the fact. Like, so I feel entitled for us being who we are on stream and to speak Definitely. Of our experiences and our opinions and the way that things impact us. But I can reassure people that the journalistic output of Decipher You is, I believe, unimpeachable.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's one of the things that reason
that makes it so powerful is that. Absolutely, 100%.
Just going to check chat real fast because I'm way behind you guys. And also these streams are really, really like a social occasion.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Very, very social. We've gotten to know and love a lot of the people who are in here with us, and it's really super cool. Whereas I do take very seriously the journalism side of it. and
Yeah,
the output from that.
Go ahead, yeah. Yeah, no, I heard, I see people talking about the fact that we're going to strike Syria. I also heard that in the last few minutes. Somebody sent that to me. It's really disturbing. We don't go into World War III. I don't know what else to say about that, but it's definitely sort of breaking news. So I can see why you guys are chatting about it.
Cassandra says that they just attacked Syria.
Oh, they did? I thought that they were just going to announce that they were going to. If somebody can clarify, that would be great.
This is my grimace face because it's just so wrong and so despicable.
I agree. I mean, especially based on not only lack of evidence, but I mean, the whole argument is totally baseless when we look at what we did to Libya or what we have done to Iraq and Afghanistan. I've got thunder outside my room like right now. So it's like cosmic no. Like really a loud round of thunder here, but yeah, no, that makes sense. Actually, blah blah says literally a day before inspection. That makes sense because they're blowing up the evidence that probably that they didn't have, or maybe not that they didn't have, but that possibly that the rebels did this, because I know that there was a UN inspector who outright said that she thought that the rebels had done this. So
I'm really torn right now. I'm really torn between wanting to stick to the mission of this project, yeah, and to continue reading through the documents, but also recognizing that both of us, and I would say all of our viewers, really, really care about what is happening in the world right now. You guys want to make it your call? Okay, let's have a vote. Just say documents in chat if you want us to keep going through the documents and stick to Decipher You, or say Syria if you want us to share screen and go through have a look at some news sources and see what's going on right now.
Damn it. Okay, so we're actually bombing Arash. Thank you for... Sorry, I'm just writing this.
Jamal says, yes, confirmed that the US is bombing Damascus. Okay, we have one vote for Syria.
I'm going to stay out of it. I think Susie and I should just listen to you guys and whatever you like, because I'm really torn too. So
Derek says Syria, Kathy Syria, Crocodile Syria.
I mean, because this is a time-sensitive event that's happening right now, and the documents, although they are important, they can wait, I guess, in a way that this kind of can't. And yeah.
Okay, guys.
I'm very, very sad to hear this. I didn't know before Zoom. I had no idea that this was happening or going to happen. So,
Syrian defenses are apparently defending, not confirmed.
And Arash, I know that, I don't know if you mind me saying this, but I know that you're a journalist, so I'm trusting what you're saying here, and I hope that we can share whatever links you're looking at, if you can put them into the chat. If somebody can throw a Jamal a wrench temporarily. And then we will look at those and share screen and read through them together, maybe, if that works.
I'm just going to start by going through the Russian networks because I want to see what they're saying about response. And we will go and look at the CIA news network and see what they've got to say as well. I'm going to close off these documents for now.
And what? It just struck me too.
Either we can come back to them or we can do another stream if needs be.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sitting in Moscow, so
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is you're in Moscow and I'm in America, and here we are. It's like almost World War III.
It would be really quite fucking cool if we didn't have a nuclear war right now. Just point that out.
If you start hearing sirens go off, then just go. I'm half joking, but yeah, no. If something happens there, literally just turn it off and go. So. But I think it's crazy and accidental, but important, almost like symbolically, that we're in these two countries that are basically facing off right now, and we just happen to be looking at these documents together, and then this is happening. So I think that's kind of crazy. So yeah, Arash, if you have links to what you're seeing, if you feel comfortable throwing them in chat, that would be fantastic. If not, that's fine. I'm so sorry. I'm so sad to hear that.
Yeah, all I can think is you fucking politicians, like you. Sorry to swear, but that's honestly all I can think. Like their butts are never on the line.
Exactly.
You know, never like sipping cocktails at Mar-a-Lago or on the fucking golf course. You know, their butts are never on the line. It's always someone else that pays the price for their fucking egos.
Okay, Brian, I'm gonna go to Twitter right now.
I was just seeing a tweet.
Wow.
Mr. K has just sent me the New York Times. Sorry, guys, there's probably going to be a lot of swearing tonight. So I've just sent a tweet that just told people we're diverting this conversation in Syria. I said, I'm in Moscow, Elizabeth Lea Vos is in America, and we've just diverted our Decipher You stream to find out what's happening in Syria and whether there'll be a full-on war. Join us, and there's the link.
Yeah.
I'll stick that in chat, and we will have a look at some news sources.
Yeah, I see a message from another journalist who says we just attacked Syria about 10 minutes ago. So definitely this is when I first got word of this, as we were in Zoom, somebody said that Trump was going to announce like that in the future he would bomb Syria. So I thought there was going to be an announcement in the next couple hours. I had no idea that it had already started. Yeah, Associated Press, breaking. President Trump, US strikes on Syria launched in concert with British, of course. French allies are now underway. So we have Theresa May, Macron, and Trump striking Syria now. This is just horrific. And I've got thunder outside my house, like as we're looking at this. So. Yeah, and thank you, Arash. I see your message with the link. I appreciate it. Yeah, and what happens with that is that unless you have a wrench next to your name, you can't post a link, and that's to prevent like bots and spam and stuff. But so we've got the RT link: explosions heard in East Damascus after Trump announces Syria strikes.
Oh God, it's the things that I think, honestly, that are going through my brain, like, oh my God, these nice people donating to me so that I can pay my rent, and like, if there's a nuclear war, like, what will happen to their donations? Okay.
I think we'll have a lot more to worry about than donations.
Yeah, I know, that's what I mean. It's like you just think about the silliest things. I think about the silliest things in these moments. I will try not to cry, guys. Here we go. RT and CNN.
Yeah, the last time that I felt like this on stream was when we basically saw the Iraqi soldiers being used by US intel as cannon fodder. And we realized, you know, when we saw that the intelligence agency of Iraq was totally taken over by the US, and it was like we both had that sigh.
The UK and France.
Yeah, of course.
Precision strikes.
It's so interesting that Macron was supposed to be a liberal, but here he is bombing with Trump. And also, you know, he's the Rothschild banking guy. Yeah.
State Department claims that the US has proof Damascus was behind the Duma attack, but says that it's classified.
Of course.
Well, what a coincidence. Syria chemical attack staged to provoke US airstrike. London pushed it. You know, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't put anything past the Brits. I really wouldn't. So, Russian Ministry of Defense says that the UK was behind the false flag. The US claims it has proof, but it's classified, which means it may well have come from the Brits. The so-called proof may well have actually come from GCHQ. Explosions heard in East Damascus after Trump announces Syria strikes, witnesses. Russia expels employees of the Swiss embassy.
What? I also think it's interesting that they call them precision strikes, as if that means anything when a bomb goes off, as if it's going to hit less people.
Okay. CNN, US launches strike on Syria. Do we want to watch his speech?
His BS. I want to know what's going on right now on the ground in Syria.
Live updates. The vice president has left the summit in Peru.
Okay.
Nikki Haley slams Russia over Syria chemical attack. Could the Syrian war lead to a US-Russia conflict?
I hope not, but yes, it could. Like, I've never seen in my lifetime, I've never seen these states line up like this in such a way that it looks like the sort of like the playing board was before actual world wars. And I think we are definitely complacent to the danger of that. This is definitely a situation where you have an alliance on each side. It's not just the US and it's not just Russia. It's Russia and allies.
Well, the thing is, China, I think, is going to be the deciding factor in here, because they came out this week and said, we are in military alliance with Russia, because China's not stupid. If Russia and Iran go down, China is fucked. And then there's no way in hell they're going to let that happen. At this point, every remaining country that has not been subjugated by the US is going to ally together.
Yep.
And it's bad news for it's bad news for, I actually feel terrible for like Air Force people in the US. And I know some of them, and they've been at war already for 16 years. They've had enough. They're as fed up of it as we are.
Yeah, it's really, and then on the opposite side of the fence, when you have Russia, China, Iran, and then on the other side you have the US, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. Just off the top of my head, and it's like that type of chessboard situation is really, I think, really, really, really serious, and it's just something that hasn't been like this in my life.
Currently not coping. Hold on a second.
You're fine.
It is seriously not coping at all.
It was actually a few days ago, a member of our viewership told me this is how it felt in 2003, and I completely agreed. And I hope that this isn't the start of something like that again, to that extent.
Yeah, seriously messed up.
I protect what's true. I see that you're devastated as well. Liz, check. Okay, yeah, I'm checking Twitter.
UK PM Theresa May has confirmed that she authorized coordinated strikes against Syria. Explosions heard in East Damascus. A series of explosions have been seen in Damascus, where it is reported, citing their own witnesses. So presumably Reuters have reporters in Syria that have seen it. Okay, New York Times article. Washington. President Trump said on Friday he'd ordered strikes on Syrian targets, seeking to punish President Bashar al-Assad for a suspected chemical attack near Damascus that killed more than 40 people. Mr. Trump said Britain and France had joined the United States in the strikes. The strikes risked pulling the United States deeper into the complex, multi-sided war in Syria, from which Mr. Trump only last week said he wanted to withdraw. They also raised the possibility of confrontation with Russia and Iran, both of which have military forces in Syria supporting Mr. Assad. In choosing to strike, it appeared that Mr. Trump's desire to punish Mr. Assad for what he called a barbaric act and make good on his tweets promising the action this week outweighed, make good. He's ordered an how do you even say this with a straight face? He ordered an airstrike, making good on his tweets. Promising action this week outweighed his desire to limit the United States military involvement in the conflict, at least in the short term. The strikes marked the second time that Mr. Trump has attacked Syria to punish the government after it was accused of using chemical weapons. The White House had sought to craft a response that would be more robust than the attack last April, when the United States fired 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles at a Syrian airbase that was back in use a day later. France and Britain joined the United States in planning the latest fusillade of missiles against Mr. Assad's government, presenting an allied condemnation of the April 7 suspected chemical attack in the town of Douma. Germany, however, refused to take part in the coordinated military action in Syria, even though Chancellor Angela Merkel called the use of chemical weapons unacceptable. That was one of the best things that Germany's ever done, actually, was telling the US to shove it over the Syrian airstrikes. That said, as I mentioned too in my tweet about it, earlier this week, they're still undoubtedly letting the US use Ramstein as a launching pad, a lily pad for drone strikes and or Air Force strikes. A fact-finding mission from the see, I don't even want to read through the rest of this New York Times stuff because, to be honest with you, it's just crap from top to bottom. I assume someone shared the link. Let's have a look at chat and see what else other people have found. Yeah, Putin did promise retaliation. They actually said that they would strike the source of the missiles. And Elizabeth, it looks like you're spot on about Friday the 13th, by the way.
Yeah, no, they love these dates. They really do. And I know you've actually mentioned that to me. So I'm going to throw the link that Aresh sent me, and it's from Sputnik, and I trust that more right now than the New York Times to tell us what's going on. Yeah, no, it's just... So it says President Trump has approved U.S. military strikes in Syria as of the Pentagon.
RSFO has just given us, pointed out a tweet on Eva Bartlett's timeline. And I think that she would be a really, really interesting source for this. I'm going to share a screen and show you guys. We'll have a look through it together.
Okay. I'm just looking through some of
the US is ensuring that the inspectors cannot do their job to exonerate Syria. They're like dogs burying their shit. Friendly reminder that a majority of US citizens do not want US intervention in Syria, says Lee's redacted tonight. Eva Bartlett says, do not want the murder of Syrian civilians by POTUS and allies. Just saying, any attack on Syria is, of course, yet another unilateral strike outside of any mandate sanctioned by the international community, invalidating the UN as an institution. That's true, and is a crime committed by a rogue state that cares nothing for international law. International law does not exist to these people.
Absolutely not.
Unless
it's an enemy. They can use it against an enemy.
Here's someone you guys will want to follow, at Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, Maki, M-A-K-K-I, Syria. He's a journalist in Syria and says, sounds like World War III here, 17 minutes ago. Damascus under attack. Syrian air defenses are shooting down enemy missiles. This message just in.
As of 1 minute ago, he's tweeted a video that 1 minute ago he posted it, and it's the first sounds of the US-led attack. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, well.
If he refreshes his page, I think it'll come up.
War journalists are heroes, honest to God.
Definitely. I think, yeah, Cassandra made that point. The journalists that cover the places where the bullets are flying are the most courageous.
Serena Shem.
Exactly.
4 known locations hit Bazir Jamraya Mezim military airport in Masyaf in Syria. First sounds of the US-led attack in the distance. Okay, that was like hardcore jammed or something. What the hell was that sound? Oh, wow. Okay, so you actually can hear these like huge sonic booms in the background, but it sounds like they have scrambled the voices of the people who are talking in that clip, which is probably to protect them, I would say.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I never thought I'd be up at 4:19 in the morning in Damascus tweeting about US airstrikes on the city. See, 4:19, that means that they're in the same time zone as me. I didn't realize that Syria is actually in the same time zone as Moscow.
That's incredible.
Okay, do you want us to share screen and take us down the rabbit hole, Elizabeth?
Oh, what am I going to share screen for everyone? Okay. Let me see. So are we going to look at Danny's timeline, or what do you guys want to look at?
Danny's timeline. I think if you're not from Syria or in Syria, a lot of the lingo is not going to make a whole lot of sense. So I'm just going to chat for a while and you just show us sources.
Okay, so I'm just going to share screen on my Google Chrome. I have some tabs open, ignore them. 1 second. And I don't know which order I'm going to go through. I'm literally just going to go through some of the tabs that I have open that Arash sent me. So 1 second. Okay. So we have breaking explosions heard in Damascus region reports. Explosions have been heard within Syria's Damascus region as US President Donald Trump announced on Friday that he was ordering to launch precision strikes on Syria. And I hate that word precision, as if it's something that isn't bloody and horrible and just, not controlled. But so we have a few Syrians describing that. So breaking, big explosions heard in Damascus. Okay, so actually, that's interesting. It says Syrian Panzer S-1 system is firing at targets over Damascus. Video footage is also surfaced with sounds of explosions. According to Reuters, Syrian state TV is reporting that airstrikes are targeting Damascus and surrounding areas. No details have been offered on targets. Syrian military are responding to the airstrikes with anti-aircraft weapons, so they're fighting back. And US officials are telling reporters that the strike involves Tomahawk cruise missiles, the same missiles that the US dropped on Syria in response to the alleged Khan Shakun chemical attack on April 7, 2017, almost exactly a year ago. So I'm going to start playing this. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it, but I'm just going to see what it says. In chat, let me know if you can hear that.
I can't hear it.
Okay.
Eben, why are you saying Iran will be next?
Oh my God. Okay, I can hear in that video really, really well the bombs going off. So
Crocodile says, pay attention, you are witnessing war crimes and crimes against humanity. Yeah, we can't hear that, Elizabeth.
I can. 1 second. I'm going to throw this into.
Wow, reports that RT has been shut down in the UK. Going to VPN and find out.
I put the link in chat. If you click on that, if you want to hear it, just open the link and scroll.
Guys, Crocodile, can you please compile all of the links that people... Guys, put your links in chat. Everybody that I recognize, I'm going to give a moderator status to so that you can post links. But when you post links, put them into brackets, okay?
What I'm going to do, I'm going to remove my headphones because I will play the sound on my computer, and I hope you'll be able to hear this video specifically. That's a car. شيء هيك مثل نجمة شلون إنه هيك بريق نجمة بتجي ما بعرف شو هذا بيطلع بالسما.
يلا عنكس أمك يا أمريكا، يلا عنكس أمكم عرس.
Brian Cosbury says that Theresa May sent submarines.
ماني متأكد إذا شايف دخنة طالعة، ما بعرف، ماني متأكد. في دخنة طالعة من ورا البناية. في صاروخ شافه بوشي، شفتوا؟
Yeah, you can see right now the bomb flying through the air, or the missile.
شفتوا الصاروخ؟
Yeah, you can see it.
Guys, we want to know what all of the news sources are saying right now. So by all means, watch CNN and BBC and tell us what they have to say. We don't have to believe it, but we can listen to it, and we should compare all of the news sources.
So here, this doesn't have any sound. It's quiet, but you can see it flying.
BBC and CNN are saying the same shit with a little twist, that Trump is hitting Syrian chemical sites.
Of course. So there's that, and I don't know what this is. I haven't listened to this yet. It's silent, 1 second.
This whole time, we've thought, like, if Trump is going to bomb less people than Clinton, then
it's better. Yeah,
exactly. But now, like, if he's going to really do this, fucking impeach him.
Yep, I agree. And I think that I don't know exactly what's going to be on this video, but I think that, yeah, no, I mean, when you see what he tweeted in 2013 and 2016, it's a completely different person. So that shows you who's actually controlling things. And I guess it proves to us that it has nothing to do with who the president is. This is what our deep state military industrial complex does, whether the president likes it or not. And I say that not in defense of Trump, but because that also explains why Obama campaigned on, less war, no war, and then turned around and droned thousands and thousands of people. So
Jenny says that there's nothing on the local broadcast news in the USA.
That doesn't surprise me. I don't think that they're going to want to.
Some dude says the base of the Syrian Republican Guard has been bombed in Damascus. Arish says that the US is bombing from the Mediterranean and also from Jordan, Turkey, and Qatar and the United Arab Emirates.
I'm just changing.
The UK is bombing from Cyprus, UK and France from Jordan Air Base. RSFO says we need to impeach the entire Congress except maybe 10 of them. Spot on. I totally agree with you.
We need mass protest. This is why, and see, this makes so much sense. This confirms to me that this is why they silenced Assange. This is why they shut him up, because they couldn't handle him speaking when they knew that they were going to pull this. At least that's my opinion on that whole situation. Okay, so I'm going to check Arash what he sent me in the last few minutes, see if there's anything new happening. Okay, yeah, so he sent me a couple of tweets from Syria, it looks like. Let me see. So yeah, one of the tweets from a Syrian journalist based in Baden, in Württemberg, says that Syrian defense systems are intercepting American Tomahawk missiles over the capital Damascus. I'm going to throw his Twitter thread into chat. I won't share screen just because it'll take time, and I'm going to open some new pages while we're not sharing screen. Yeah, and that link I sent to you guys that has those phone captured videos. The first video does have bombs going off, but they're obviously interspersed with a few minutes of nothing, and so listen to that if you want. It's really disturbing is an understatement. So. Okay, so part is a geopolitical analyst who is a contributor to InfoWars, interestingly enough, says that Trump has struck a civilian area in Damascus in Syria. So I'm going to share her tweet, and then I'm going to share a screen just so you guys can see. This is her timeline, obviously. Oh wow, that's she says a residential area burning in Damascus. And so this is somebody that contributes to InfoWars who is saying that Trump is murdering the people of Damascus. Again, these are people that you would not expect to criticize Trump, but they are vocally, and I think that that's really important for people to listen to and to take note of. So this is the oldest inhabited city in the world to save Al-Qaeda. And that's one of the things too that they don't want us to talk about, but is absolutely true and absolutely documented, is that we are helping Islamic extremists right now in this fight. We are on the side of the people that we supposedly went into war in the first place in 2001 to fight against. So there is no reason for this other than our military industrial complex wants another payday and another job to have to go fix and then make it worse so they can go fix it again. Right. So that's obviously an image of a residential area burning. I'm going to go through her timeline and see what other news we can see.
Everyone who's sharing links into YouTube, you need to put quotation marks at the beginning and at the end of the link. Otherwise, people can't click on it.
Civilian casualties are being reported in Damascus as at least 2 residential areas have been struck by the US-led forces' missiles, at least 4 dead in one of the strikes. So this is what precision missiles looks like. This is precision. And
RSFO says with Hillary, this would have happened a year earlier. I completely agree with you. Arish, what says that Russia and Syria are firing back?
See, I think I know that some of these tweets have said that Syria is using anti-aircraft to take down these missiles as they're flying. I think it's really, really seriously sad to see that there's deaths of 60 people in this gas attack are then being used to excuse the death of more civilians. There is no excusing that whatsoever. And then, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to turn out the volume on that because I believe it's supposed to have, yeah, loud sirens. Etc. So. So yeah, we've got this report that Russian air defense systems are now also firing. So that is very, very, very ominous to me. I'm sure it is to everybody listening. And here we have the report that RT is down in the UK. That is huge. Suzie, have you ever seen anything like this where an entire news organization would be shut down like this?
I'm not surprised in the slightest. I mean, okay, I'm just going to jump on video for a second so you can see me.
So
No, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. If RT had officers in Damascus, it wouldn't surprise me if they fucking bombed them. They bombed Al Jazeera in Iraq for reporting fairly on Iraq. They will bomb not just Al Jazeera, there's a bunch of other Middle Eastern news sources which these guys will want to shut down. They have no compunction about going after media. They have no compunction about targeting journalists in war zones. Right back at the beginning, I mean, this is how I'll just explain how I knew the Syria civil war narrative was total bullshit. Okay, it was because when I was involved in the Occupy movement, I followed every Occupy group in the world. And one of those groups was Occupy Syria. And Occupy Syria, like every other occupation, had live streamers that were live streaming what was happening in the country and in the occupation. So you got to understand, this is late 2011. They tell you that it started in March 2012, the civil war. That's bullshit. The mortars were already hitting Homs in January of 2012. And the reason that I knew the truth about what was happening in Syria was because you have to understand, Occupy Syria was protesting against Assad. They were against him. They were protesting, like every Occupy movement in the world, against their own government. But by January 2012, here's what the Occupy live streamers were reporting. They were saying that Blackwater-style vehicles and troops had come over the border from Iraq into Syria and were firing mortars into residential neighborhoods in Syria. And then armed militants were showing up at the Occupy protests and literally like pouring guns and money into the protests and trying to radicalize everybody to overthrow Assad. And at that point, in January 2012, Occupy Syria, which had been against Assad and against the Syrian government and pro-democracy, once they saw these fucking mercenaries pouring guns and money over the border from Iraq into Syria and trying to overthrow Assad, Occupy Syria flipped. And they stood in solidarity with Assad and the Syrian government because they could see that their country was about to be turned into Iraq. That was 2 months before the entire MSM says that some, whatever Syrian people were wanting to get rid of Assad, so they just miraculously materialized mortars and weapons and, began a civil war. So that's what actually happened, but it gets worse than that. These live streamers were going out and live streaming the Blackwater vehicles. There was footage of these mortars being fired into the residential neighborhoods, and those live streamers were tracked, they were hunted down, and they were killed. They were killed. They were citizen journalists.
For documenting
They were citizen journalists using mobile phones, and for documenting what was happening, they were tracked down and they were killed, and they were not killed by Assad. They were not killed by the Syrian government. They were killed by the people the forces that they were filming the truth and telling the truth about what's happening. So this group that was anti-Assad and anti-government ended up being pro-Assad and pro-government because they were telling the truth about what was happening to their country. They didn't want their country to become the next Iraq. They're saying, yes, we want democratic reform. Yes, we want change. Yes, our government is corrupt, just like every government that occupiers are protesting against. But no, we do not want drugs and guns and money pouring into our fucking country so that there can be armed conflict and people dying all around us. That's the story of Occupy Syria. And no journalists, no MSM have ever even mentioned the existence. Instead, they try to tell you that the protests were anti-Assad protests. They were not. They were Occupy protests, the same as the entire planet was having protests. And this is the forgotten truth, the forgotten history of what actually happened in Syria and how this actually began.
And I remember there was a previous time that you told us about that. And it was when we found documents that were relating to mobile devices, mobile phones, being used years and years and years ago, like 2004, I believe, being used to track people and their location. And the fact that you could be the fact that your device was in a geographical location would lead to you being tracked, no matter if you were a person of interest or not. And at that time, when we read that document, Suzie was telling us about this, about the danger that people have been in simply by documenting or simply by being in a space with a mobile device, than being and she told this story of these people that were documenting evidence of the history and the narrative that we were being given by journalists being completely, as she said, completely utterly wrong. And so I'm sure that the same thing will be happening this evening. I'm sure that there will be, you know, a lot of lies told about this. Like the first lie I can see this evening is the word precision strikes, and then the fact that they're hitting residential areas is just disgusting. So I'm gonna, in a minute, I'm gonna share screen again.
People in chat, please can you tell people, let people know that we're streaming.
Yeah.
Hope says this is not the same as last year. I agree with you, it's not. I can feel it in my bones that it's not the same as last year.
This is going to be the start of something really fucking bad, is what I can sense right now. It's not, this is, and it's not, the reason you can tell right off the bat that it's not the same as last year is because it's not just America. I don't know, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe this was like 3 countries bombing Syria last year. Am I right about that? Or did they have a aid from?
No, it was just Trump firing some cruise missiles.
That's what I thought. So, and what you described as well with the Syria, with the Occupy protesters, is exactly what you see in every attempt by the CIA to socially engineer an overthrow of a government. That's just that's exactly what happens every single time, where they give like you were saying, how they were giving Occupy Syria, and that they're giving Occupy Syria the weapons and the guns and trying to radicalize them. That's just typical.
Murloc saying Russian Air Force departing now. Departing where, Murloc? Says, yes, this is the start of something really fucking bad.
Yeah, I am actually seeing in the tweets that I'm looking at, there is reference of Russian jet, as RSFO just tweeted or linked, that Russia is actually responding to this as well as the Syrian anti-aircraft.
Mike Agnew says the goal is to cut the country in half via EU and Russian pipelines. The goal will be met, and as always, the common are losers.
So the tweet is by Paul Antonopoulos. He is an editor at Fort Russ News, a research fellow at the Center of Syncretic Studies, and he says major Russian jets have become active in the skies. Let me just share screen on this one because I think it's important.
Yeah, someone has just called my tweet to real Donald Trump irresponsible because I mentioned, I literally said it would be really nice if you didn't have a fucking nuclear war right now. I would just like to point out that there is nothing more irresponsible than bombing people to death.
Because of other people dying. So 60 civilians died, so now we have to bomb more civilians because that's the way that you answer violence, is with escalated violence.
Pentagon briefing in 7 minutes, Aresh Jamal says.
Okay, thank you, Aresh, so much. And I hope, please, somebody give Aresh a wrench and let him just like put the quotation marks on each.
He's got one.
Great, thank you.
People with wrenches, please remember, and Shelley Graydon, I'm giving you a wrench too. People with wrenches, please remember to put quotation marks around your links. II Captain says shadow missiles used against military facility 15 miles west of Homs, believed to be site of chemical weapon precursors, says the UK Defence Ministry. Well, isn't it ironic? As I've just told you, in January 2012, 2 months before the UK and US bullshit story of a civil war in Syria, it was Homs that was getting hit by the militants with the mortars.
Sorry, I've got
BBC saying Syrian TV says it has shot down 13 missiles.
1 second. Okay, let me look through these news reports for one moment here. And thank you, Arash. I see that you're still sending me links. I appreciate it. Yeah, interesting. I just got a bad gateway on another RT article. Are they shutting it down in America? I'm going to share a screen with you guys. This is what I'm seeing on an RT article that Aresh just sent me. And I'm not sure if this is RT in America that they've shut down, or if it is RT, like this is from an RT UK, but it doesn't look like it is. It doesn't have it in the... So can somebody try and click on any RT article, like refresh it and see if it's down? I'm gonna check chat. Stop share and check chat for a second here and see if that... Yeah, guys, refresh. I did refresh my version of RT. I didn't do it with you guys, but I did refresh it and it's still down. So I don't know. Oh, now it's back. It's just playing games with me, I guess. But okay, so I'm going to reshare again. Suzie, if you have anything to say or report, just break in because I'm just...
No problem. I'm just reading through chat. I think we have an amazing group of people here, and I'm really grateful that all of you are here with us.
Okay, so here's basically RT is just literally just throwing tweet videos in here.
Here is a new air defense missile just fired. God bless you. God bless you. Fuck those American bastards. Holy shit.
Yeah, so that's a defense missile from Syria. We looked at that one. So yeah. We should have known this would happen. It was Friday 13th. We really should have.
Yeah, I had this feeling all fucking week, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, SJS42 says, I think RT is getting heavy traffic. That's probably completely right. I agree. It kind of shows that, you know, RT is probably more trusted than any American news source right now, and for good reason. Yeah, don't forget Macron in May. Absolutely. No, that's the problem, is that he has this help. You know, it shows that something much worse is going down than just a couple of cruise missiles like last year, because he's got the help of Macron and Theresa May. And when you have them, you know, it's like Jimmy Dore and Tucker Carlson, I think, noted that, you know, when it's bipartisan or when you have multiple countries involved, it means that it's much, much worse than if it was one political party or one country by itself. So I'm going to read through chat as well for a bit.
Yeah, if you want to take over chat, I'm going to go through, I'll share screen and go through my Twitter feed.
Okay, yeah, no, that would be great. I haven't been able to catch up. Actually, I'm going to go run and grab some water for my throat, and I'll be right back, okay?
No problem. New Zealanders are not happy about this.
They shouldn't be. Nobody should be happy about this. Hell, like contributors aren't happy about this.
Word that the Russian embassy in Damascus was on high alert today. A delegation of Russian parliament members is still there. Meanwhile, Russian military policy moved in eastern Ghouta, and the chemical weapons specialists were expected in Damascus in the morning. Interestingly, The Guardian has published an Owen Jones piece against the war. When Syria's army liberated eastern Ghouta farmlands near Douma, they found a well-equipped chemical laboratory run by Jaish al-Islam, the same terrorists who just staged the Douma chemical weapons attack. So Syria's government could be blamed and the US would bomb Syria, false flag. I assume that's the evidence that they're talking about today. Max Blumenthal would be someone very, very good to follow. He's a pretty amazing journalist. And this is one major reason why the British establishment has fabricated, oh, okay, this is about Corbyn, sorry. John Bolton has only been at the White House for 5 days and the US is already at war. I've never been more upset at like random crap in my Twitter feed than now. Even though the US bombing Syria isn't a surprise, it's truly vile that it's uncritical stenographers for the US government pretending to be journalists that have helped this happen. I could not agree any more with that. Breaking, US violates all international norms and Russia is treating it as an act of aggression. There's another Kiwi here who's saying exactly the same thing. It's madness to kill people because people were killed.
I'm back.
Yeah, people are complaining. There's
Cool stuff.
that's Eben Kim actually complaining about the bad gateway on RT.com.
Oh yeah. I thought you meant complaining about what we were saying or
Rory Fanning, it looks like he's from Veterans Against Peace. Says any soldier following Trump's orders into a war with Syria is a moral coward and certainly complicit in a criminal act.
I agree 100,000.
If it's not sanctioned by the UN and it's in violation of international law, then he is 100% correct. Reporters closer to the firing are saying it's been non-stop for 40 minutes, lots of strikes, a much broader number of targets than last time. This is a major strike by any definition. This appears to have an infographic with it. Missiles also coming in from Israel. What a surprise. British fighters targeted military bases near Homs, confirmed by Syrian TV. 13 missiles destroyed south of Damascus. All info unconfirmed. And here's another New Zealand. New Zealanders are not buying this. Every New Zealander on my timeline is pissed about this. Trump launches airstrikes just before a chemical attack inspector is due to go in today. Uncanny. And Jeremy Scahill saying that both the Democrats and Republicans have violated the War Powers Act. The Humanist Report, fuck you, real Donald Trump, you bloodthirsty buffoon. Fuck every neocon Republican that called for this. Fuck every Democrat that called him unstable and pushed for this. Fuck the media for their constant pro-war propaganda. Americans fucking hate you all. And that is from an American. Kim Jong-un, now it totally makes sense to abandon this nuclear deterrent. RT carrying Trump's statement an hour ago. Okay, that's it from my Twitter. I'll hand over to you, Elizabeth.
Well, I was just saying that from what I saw of the tweets that Aresh sent me, there are a couple different reporters that are in the ground in Syria, and they are saying that the Russian defenses are coming into play here, that they're actually activated. And I'm wondering if anybody can find any other links on that, please throw them in chat or send them to me in a DM on Twitter, because that's, I think, a really important aspect to watch this, is how Russia What?
Oh.
What?
People saying Tucker Carlson for president.
Yeah. At this point, it would be better than Trump, it looks like.
Drudge is going apeshit as well. All these people who I would never agree with on almost any issue, and yet they're fully in solidarity against the war. It's quite amazing.
So apparently Jenny says that Russia is telling their people to seek out bomb shelters.
What?
Could you have a link for that, Jenny McIntyre? Can you please link that? Because I mean, if Susie has to go, I would, we need to know.
And how precisely am I going to seek out a bomb shelter?
I don't know.
I'm going off stream for a second. I'm not actually going off the stream, but I'm just going to call some like locals and find out what the fuck is going on.
Sure, not a problem. I'm going to be looking at what you guys are saying in chat, and I'm going to keep clicking on these links that you're sending, which is really, really helpful. Jenny, if you're still here, please send a link for where you said that they are telling Russians to go into the shelters. So I'm going to cruise through Twitter, and if I find anything that is worth showing you all, then I will show it. So yeah, it's partisan girl at partisan like PARTISANGIRL. Partisan girl is as I said earlier, she is a contributor at InfoWars. She's in Syria, and she is saying that that this is awful, and she's saying that the Russians are attacking back. Wow, this okay, I'm going to share screen on this tweet, because this looks like what we saw on the morning that we went into the Iraqi conflict in 2002, 2003. So okay. So it will let me move this a bit. So this is the image that I wanted to show you all, because it shows Damascus looking eerily like Iraq in 2003. And I thought that it's extremely ominous to see this, is I guess the best I can say. Now, I'm not sure if this is the image of a bomb coming down, or I mean, that's what it looks like. I know that we've seen images of the Syrian defense, anti-missile stuff happening. So I believe this is the smoke from the hit areas. So there is a full blackout, she's saying, in Damascus to lower US target visibility. Report is that Trump has now gone underground. I wonder where she's getting that. That is incredibly, incredibly sad. And this is some stuff that we know we saw earlier. I'm going to check over on Danny's timeline. So He says that a huge rocket just landed nearby where he is. The entire house just shook. Suzie, are you there?
Yeah, Max Blumenthal says Mattis on bombing Syria right now. This was a one-time shot, and they're saying that their operations are complete.
What? Interesting.
Yeah, well, if Russia's fucking bombing them back, I would not very surprised at all that they would be saying that in pretty short order, because I don't think this is what they planned for, to be honest.
You don't think that? I mean, I think that they underestimated Russia completely.
Right, it's not even just Russia. Like I said, it's the remaining countries in the world who the US has not subjugated. All of them will fall into line, because otherwise it's them next. This is not a joke. Like Russia, I mean, Putin said they learned the lesson of Iraq and Libya. They're not going to watch every country fall like dominoes before them. They're not.
I agree. That's why it strikes me as a World War II situation.
Soon I will know what the Russian media are saying in Russian language.
Okay.
And I'll update you as soon as, because if I literally do have to go to a bomb shelter, then, you know,
well, and I just heard that Trump is apparently has gone underground. I don't know if that's confirmed. We don't know if that's confirmed, but that's what's one of our sources from the Syrian media has said, and I'm looking for confirmation. So if somebody in chat right now can look up, you know, Trump underground in this bombing situation, that would be great. I'm going to look it up myself for a minute, so you'll just see me as I'm like typing stuff in. If I find something to share with you, I will.
Americans, please go to the anti-war actions today. There are massive anti-war actions planned in all of the major cities. There's people tweeting that they are going to them, that they're supporting them. Please go and let your voice be heard.
Absolutely.
RT saying that 1,382 Syrians are confirmed killed.
So 60 lives were lost in a gas attack that probably wasn't by Assad and was probably by rebels that we, the US, have funded, armed, and probably trained. And now we've killed over 1,000 Syrians in response to 60 deaths. Totally sickening. We knew this was going to happen. Okay, so Business Insider has a headline saying Trump reportedly has 8 targets in mind for the strike, and Russia said war could be coming. That is a headline from Business Insider, which is a relatively okay. It's not crazy on either side. That was published 6 minutes ago, so I'm going to share a screen and go through this with you. And Suzie, if you get any news that you want to share, just please butt in. I don't care. Mid-sentence, it won't bother me one bit. Okay, so for some reason they have an ad loading at the top here, but it says Trump reportedly has 8 targets in mind for a Syria missile strike, and Russia said war could be coming. And this again published literally 5 minutes ago. Okay, so we know that they've already started bombing, so that's old news, but we didn't know about these 8 targets. So, okay, they're trying to calm us down by saying it's low risk.
Katrina Vanden Heuvel is the editor of The Nation magazine, says that a US general says Russia was not pre-notified, and French President Macron has said that Russia was pre-notified.
Yeah, that's been the line. There are 2 things that I'm taking away from the mainstream response to this. One is that they obviously that line about being pre-notified, but the second thing is,
Yemen is firing missiles into Saudi Arabia.
Really?
Yemen force fired a ballistic missile at King Faisal City in Saudi Arabia's Jizan province.
Interesting.
Oh, that was earlier. Sorry, that was earlier. Fuck. No. I hate these like Twitter timeline manipulations. Like, doesn't actually show. Russian Air Force jets are taking off from the Latakia province.
So we have confirmation that the Russians are responding.
criminal rogue states are tipping us towards a world war. And it's criminal that Julian is silenced.
It is absolutely fucking criminal. But that shows you how powerful he is, that they're that afraid of him, that they knew they were going to pull this and that they couldn't have him spreading truth to stop this. It's literally what he talked about when he spoke about wars being based on lies. That's exactly what we saw with this gas attack. And, you know, he would have torn that to pieces.
You guys want to know how fucked up this is? I just had to wake up my Russian flatmate at 5 o'clock in the morning and ask her to watch the Russian news and find out whether we need to go to a bomb shelter. That is how fucked up this is.
And you can tell that the narrative line they've given all of the press is 2 words: precision strikes. That is in all of the mainstream American press. Exactly. Every single headline. Huh?
Exactly what they did in Iraq.
Yeah, they all have that word, which is such bullshit. So when Russia's ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzia, urged on the US on Thursday to avoid military action, saying the immediate priority is to avert the danger of war. Asked whether he was referring to a war between the US and Russia, Nebenzia said, quote, "We cannot exclude any possibilities, unfortunately, because we saw messages that are coming from Washington. They were very bellicose. They know we are there. I wish there was dialect through the proper channels on this to avert any dangerous developments." He added, "The danger of escalation is higher than simply Syria because our military are there. So the situation is very dangerous." Several experts have told Business Insider that despite Russia's tough talk, the Russian president does not want war with the US, et cetera, et cetera. And that's about all the useful information from that article. I'm going to check chat really fast to see if you guys have any news links or Aresh, thank you. I just saw that your new RT link. Thank you for staying with us and kind of providing us information. Note this. Okay. I am glad that we are having this live stream right now because I think it's better that we're all here together covering this and talking about how wrong this is, rather than to just have it be a normal moment where we all experience this horrifying news separately. So I am glad. Huh?
Thank you, Saldivar. I'm just saying thank you. There's people sending me really nice messages. Thank you. It's pretty hard to describe like how I feel at the moment. I'm a mother, so like for me, like, you know, it's very, very, very real. Like, how do I explain this to my kids? Like, if we really do have to go to a bomb shelter, how, you know? Don't get me wrong, we've been through a lot of shit in the last 3 years. It has not been an easy road, exile and seeking asylum, but this is next level, and I'm just so, I'm angry. I'm really, really angry because the entire thing is unnecessary. All of this is unnecessary. And it is just the only people celebrating this are a bunch of very sick, messed up people, whether it's those directly profiting from it or those who just don't have an empathetic bone in their body to understand that this is real people's lives. 1,300 people killed tonight. That's 1,300 people who've lost a family member, who've lost kids, who've lost family. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrific.
when the British government can do this right under our noses without our consent, without even discussing it in the House of Commons, it should be clear that our democracy is not fit for purpose. A reporter just asked Mattis what happens if chemicals are dispersed during strikes. You know, this chemical weapons shit, this is total bullshit. They have been using white phosphorus. Israel have been using white phosphorus on Palestinians for years, and God knows what other chemicals, and nobody gives a toss. Nobody does a goddamn thing about it. There's the depleted uranium in Iraq from the weapons. Like literally multiple generations of kids being born deformed. Nobody does shit about it. Nobody cares. Honestly, the last thing I want to hear is the word chemical weapons right now, because it's a total fiction. It's a farce.
I got a question from somebody that's asking, is Trump really responsible for this, or is it the deep state? And I think that we don't, you know, it doesn't really matter.
The same thing. If he's doing what they want him to do, then they are the same thing. That's just it. He has become the deep state. If he is launching bombs and killing people because they want him to, then he is the deep state. He is the deep state.
And what it means is, like, when you look at actions and just disregard, you know, the why, he's acting in a way that is what we would have seen from Hillary Clinton. And so not only because of that, but because it's so against what he had said leading up to his election and way back in 2013 when it was Obama that was wanting us to go to war in Syria. What I see is that he is either not in control, or he has, you know, they have something on him, or whatever has happened that happens to almost every president, where they act in a way that is not the way that they ran on, like their platform, but it seems inevitable. And so it does, as Susie said, it doesn't matter whether it's specifically the deep state or how they've influenced him or whatever. It has happened. This is what he's decided to do. And now we have to deal with the consequences from it. And unfortunately that, you know, and you see a lot of, like I said earlier, there's a woman in Syria that contributes to InfoWars, which is considered right wing, and she's absolutely up in arms about this. And so this is not a situation of right versus left. This is, you know, truth versus lies, and it's war versus anti-war, not left versus right anymore.
So this person who follows me has just sent my tweet saying that I'm in live online from Moscow to Interpol_cyber and US_stratcom. Their handle is politics_nature. You might want to ask yourself why what is supposed to be a news service for news and geopolitics is attempting to report a solo mother with 2 kids to Interpol, cyber, and US_stratcom.
Evil. Existing in Moscow is now a crime. Existing and speaking English in Moscow is a crime. I don't understand. I think one thing that I want to say as part of this is, if anything, anyone can take away from this, is that we are, you know, both members of these countries on the opposite side of this horrible fence, and you know, fence is an understatement, but that we are both horrified that this is happening, like beyond horrified. And if that shows anything, it's that the citizens of all of the countries affected by this, whether it's the UK, France, America, Russia, Syria, obviously, none of us want this to happen. It is a group of psychopaths running the American deep state that want this to happen. And that is totally fucking evil, but it has nothing to do with the intentions of the American people. And I just want to say that because I'm so sorry that our military is bombing innocent people right now. I don't even know how to express that.
I'm an anti-war activist. If this was happening the other way around, I would still be raising hell about it. If someone was using a chemical attack in US as the fucking pretext to bomb the US, I would still be going apeshit about it.
Exactly.
I oppose every single war. I think that New Zealand, like nearly every New Zealander, I think that New Zealand should be the fuck out of the Five Eyes Alliance, should have absolutely nothing to do with the warmongering, shouldn't be getting egged on to commit war crimes in Afghanistan, should have had nothing to do with the Iraq war whatsoever. In the 80s, which is when I grew up, New Zealand did get out of the Five Eyes Alliance. We did wash our hands of it and say we want nothing to do with your fucking war crimes and we're not going to be a part of it. That's my heritage. So that's where I come from. I come from a place that said, no, we will not be a part of this. No, we want nothing to do with it. And that's what I've been fighting for in New Zealand that led to me being exiled. I've been fighting for New Zealand to leave the Five Eyes, for us to have nothing to do with bombing, nothing to do with war crime. I have never touched a hair on a person's head in my life. I have never bombed anyone or killed anyone. And I don't understand how other people can do it, quite frankly.
I completely agree, and I don't have any words to say right now. I want to know if it's true that I see that they're saying on Twitter that the SAA is intercepting US, UK, French, and Israeli missiles. But it's interesting. This journalist Vanessa Beeley is saying her words for it are that criminal rogue states are tipping us towards a world war, and I think that is absolutely a correct takeaway from this. I don't see this ending well at all. If I've ever in my life seen anything that looks like the beginning of an actual World War III, this is it. And that is absolutely horrific.
Okay, so it seems that the US agenda is to bomb a whole shitload of places and times, and then to say, oh no, it's all over now. No, we've concluded our operations. Everything's fine. Everything's sweet. Don't worry about it. Remains to be seen what comes from that.
I wish that we had Julian Assange tweeting right now. I really do. I know we've been saying that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but
he will be absolutely spewing about this. Because as I wrote in Being Julian Assange, and this is something that so few people always ascribe motivations to him. They're always like, oh, he just wants to get out of the embassy, or oh, he's just this, or he's just that, or he just, it's ego tripping, or he's a narcissist. All of that is false. WikiLeaks is an anti-war organization. That's why they exist. That's why I support them relentlessly. They report on war crimes. They tell us the truth about and prove it about war criminals. That's what collateral murder was. That's what the Iraq, and they've, oh my God, don't get me started, honestly. They report on every single country in the world. You go and type any country name into wikileaks.org, you're going to find information, true information about their country. Julian is an anti-war activist. He is from a line of anti-war activists. That is his major priority, is to prevent things like this happening, and that's why they silence him. That's why they torture him. That's why they lie about him. That's why they arbitrarily detain him. That's why they make him pay the price. It's always the people who want peace paying the price. It's always the people who are prepared to stand up for other people paying the price. But I'll throw my body on that pie, quite frankly, because it is the only moral choice. It is the only moral choice. I will not turn my head away and just let other people suffer.
And so WikiLeaks, as we were talking about WikiLeaks, about 1 minute ago, 30 seconds ago, they posted a link to Mattis's speech. So if you go to their timeline, you'll see that. I don't know if it's useful or not. It's just literally just him saying, "Oh, it's just Mattis says they made 100 strikes, double, which is double 1 year ago, limited to chemical weapons supply chain, and that there will be no more further strikes." I don't know if that, obviously they're not just hitting chemical weapon sites. We saw them that, there were reports on the ground that they are hitting residential areas from those that are on the ground. So I don't know what to make of that. Hopefully it's over. Hopefully, it's awful.
I don't believe a single word that is being said. Like, just as they sit here now saying, "Oh, our operation is concluded," how do we know they're not still bombing the fuck out of Damascus? Like, I don't believe a single word that comes out of their mouths now. I don't believe any of these news services. I don't believe any of it. It's all propaganda and bullshit. I'll tell you guys a story, okay, because this story has stuck with me for my entire life, and ever since I heard it. It was from a friend of mine who's from Iran, and he's substantially older than me. He was in the Iran-Iraq war. When I say in it, not by choice, but because it lasted for 8 years. Everybody in the fucking country was in the war. They had no choice. It was war that was forced upon them by the circumstances. And he said that when he was in the war with Iran and Iraq, when you got close to the border areas, they could pick up the radio from both sides. They had the Iranian national radio station, and they could tune in and hear the Iraqi national radio station. So they could hear what Iran was telling the Iranian people and what Iraq was telling the Iraqi people. And he said that they would tune into the Iranian radio stations, and they would say that any day now, Iran is, knocking on the gates of Baghdad. Like, any day, it's over. The war's finished. We've won. We've wiped it. We've wiped them out. And then they'd tune into the Iraqi radio station, and they would say the lions of Baghdad are at the gates of Tehran, and blah 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 blah, any minute now. And he said that when he heard that, he instantly understood that it's all bullshit. Yeah. It's all bullshit. No matter who you're tuning into, no matter who you're listening to, it's all bullshit. Because he was on the front line, he could see the reality was nothing like either side was saying. So we have no fucking idea. Our best chance of knowing anything is from these people who are actually on the ground, from citizen journalists, from people with a cell phone, from people actually posting video or tweeting and telling us what is going on. Because I don't give a fuck what the Pentagon said at the Pentagon group briefing. Quite frankly, I don't believe any of it. I don't believe any of these mass media, any of these moneyed corporate media. They're all the same shit. They get told what to say. That's it, bottom line. And if they say the wrong thing, it's
told to say that.
And the history is rewritten. They will rewrite the history to suit. That's exactly what being Julian Assange is about. It's proving that 8 years of history of WikiLeaks has been rewritten by the forces who oppose WikiLeaks. And that's exactly what happens with these wars. No matter what's actually happening there on the ground, it will be rewritten. Our kids in school will be taught bullshit and lies. Like said to you, I'm still not going to name them, but a fucking amazing person said to me, the last thing they said to me, they said, history is fake news all the way down. History is fake news. The history that we all assume, that society assumes is our shared history, is our roots, our global roots. It's all fake news. It's all fake news. And this is perhaps the first time in history that we have a chance at producing our own historical record.
Yeah.
From the eyewitnesses.
I agree, and that's why when we've been looking at these
through the gatekeepers. So quite frankly, I put very little value in us sitting here and sharing mainstream media links. I'm far more interested in the eyewitnesses and in what is happening.
Yeah, and we have a lot of Twitter timelines that we're looking at that are from citizen journalists that are on the ground in Syria. And I think that's really valuable and important that we're seeing that.
Russian Ambassador Antonov, USA actions will have consequences. But if you're going to say something like that, can you please tell us when the reporting is from? Is it from 10 hours ago? Is it from a day ago? Is it from 3 days ago? Guys, can you actually check the timestamps of the articles that you're reading and put the timestamps next to the link, please? I would really appreciate that. Russian ambassador responds to the US on Syria strikes. The worst apprehensions have come true. We warn that such actions will not be left without consequences.
Yeah, no, I see that Brian Swift is telling us to go look at Danny Mackey, and that's exactly who I was referring to when we just said that we were paying attention to these citizen journalists that are on the ground in Syria. That's who we want the information from. That's one of the people. There's Partisan Girl who is also in Syria, I believe, and who is reporting. They're all reporting on this right now. So, and what Danny says is that there was a pause after that last strike, which was 22 minutes ago, and a calm has been restored for the time being. And then 13 minutes ago, he said, continuing to hear more attacks in Damascus. 10 minutes ago, he said, reports of more strikes on Al-Kisweh. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Just south of Damascus, air defenses firing on incoming rockets. So I'm glad to hear that the Syrians are responding by, with anti-missile defenses, because that's protecting their people from death. So as far as I'm concerned, that's fantastic. And I wish them luck, but that's the latest that I'm seeing from Danny's timeline. I think he's definitely somebody that we want to keep looking back in on, because I think that, as Suzie said, these are the people that are telling the story of what's really happening.
I was saying that there's a second strike.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shelley, for linking to the actions against the war.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Jenna, you need to put quotation marks around your link, and Shelley as well. You guys put quotation marks before and after your links. Tristan, please timestamp. Guys, put your source, your news source, and the timestamp that it was published at.
Yeah, I don't know. Some dude said it isn't Partisan Girl in Dubai. I'm not sure. I know that she was posting links and other Twitter accounts from Syria. I'm not exactly sure on that. So that could be true. I'm not 100% sure. And that's part of the problem about stuff like this. Just as Suzie was saying, it's so easy to write your own history when things are so confused in the moment that it happens. So I'm going to go over to her account, not only because she's reporting on this live, but also because she was tweeting a lot of people that are on the ground in Syria. And I'm going to go take a look at those accounts as we try and figure out what's going on now. So, okay, so I don't know if you guys have linked this. 22 minutes ago, Brian Becker in DC says, demonstrate tomorrow in front of the White House at noon. Trump's bombing of downtown Damascus is a war crime. Huh?
Brian Becker.
Yeah, it is illegal.
Sorry. He's one of the hardcore anti-Trump people. So okay. of course, now the resistance that have egged on Trump are going to now be anti-war again, so that they can get rid of Trump. Of course, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, well, anybody who's against war, I'm with them on that. So
yeah, it's just that they weren't against it yesterday.
Yeah, I get that for sure. And if Hillary was doing it, they'd be fine with it.
I thought you meant the CNN Brian. No, you're talking about Brian Becker is John Kiriaku's co-host on radio. Yeah, okay, sorry. That's a good Brian Becker.
Yeah, so I'm going to, I put that into chat and I'm going to retweet it because I think it's a great idea. And I'm looking at Partisan Girl's Twitter timeline because she's tweeting really great people. Wait, what? It's odd. Okay. So 1 minute ago, Jenny is posting a Twitter account that says, this is what's happening in my country, in Syria. And I'm going to... Yeah, I believe that what we're seeing in this, and I'm going to share screen in a moment, is just anti-missile defenses. That's what I believe that we're seeing on those types of video clips. So no, we don't want that. We want so she says this is what's happening in my country. I'm not clear on whether she's videoed this or if she's getting it from somewhere else. But
Rania Kalik is another good source if I can share screen on that really quick.
okay, yeah, no, this is just the same type of stuff that we've seen before.
It looks like a thread from her. Trump says the US, UK, French bombing of Syria is underway, but US does not seek indefinite presence there. Congratulations to all the war hawks and pundits and regime change propagandists who encouraged him. Coalition is prepared to sustain a response until Syrians stop using chemical weapons. Oh, fuck, as if that's ever going to stop them doing a false flag every day of the week. No idea what that means, but there is still no evidence that the government carried out last week's alleged attack. CNN reports that the US is hitting Damascus where larger explosions are heard. America and its British and French allies are basically ISIS and Al-Qaeda's air force because that's who this benefits.
Absolutely. Can you link that in chat or retweet it and I'm going to retweet it
too? If you want to pull it off my timeline, go for it. It's crucial to keep in mind that the US launched this attack on Syria without an investigation to determine whether the chemical attack did in fact take place and who was responsible.
Exactly.
This is insane and totally illegal, both domestically and internationally. The office for the investigators of the chemical weapons, well, on their way to investigate the alleged chemical attack set to arrive on Saturday. The US couldn't wait until then. They rushed ahead with no evidence.
Because they knew that their evidence isn't there. They had to hit before any investigation was done because they know it's bullshit because they probably did it.
Syria has spent the last several years fighting Salafi jihadist death squads funded and armed by the US and its allies. Those death squads had almost lost the war. Oops, I just lost my thread.
I've never been...
Brian C. who sent this to me, by the way. This is a fantastic thread. I really appreciate it. And this is exactly what's been happening. So Syria, I'm going to read that tweet again because it's spot on. Syria has spent the last... Surely I follow around here. I must, yes. Spent the last several years fighting Salafi jihadist death squads. That's exactly what they are. Funded and armed by the US and its allies. Those death squads had almost lost the war. They are who will benefit from this American military escalation. James Mattis says the coalition remains committed to defeating ISIS by sending them arms and money. Is that why the US is currently bombing the government that is the enemy of ISIS, that has been integral to defeating ISIS? The Pentagon is saying that this wave of airstrikes is over. It's unclear whether that means there will be more waves of airstrikes or not. Right now, we have no additional attacks planned. Well, there you have it. America wanted to flex its muscles. Someone else says something is up. I don't believe anyone, and that's exactly how I feel right now. I don't believe anyone other than normal, everyday people tweeting and sending pictures and videos from what they're seeing around them.
Absolutely.
And if you wonder why I have so much faith in normal, everyday people, it's because that's exactly what it was. That's how I became a journalist, and all my friends around me as well. Like, we never planned any of it. All we did was tell people what we're seeing on the ground, take photos and video of it, and share it around the world. And the reason we did that is because all of our national media were lying out their fucking asses. They were not telling people what was happening in our country. So we took it upon ourselves to tell everybody. And that's how my entire journalistic career has come about, was just by eyewitnessing on the ground and by trying to spread the truth and tell people what was happening. There was never any, I didn't plan any of this. I didn't ever foresee any of it, but this is the path that truth leads you down. It's a righteous path. It's a path that means you can feel good about yourself when you look in the mirror. It means that you can respect yourself and you can know that you did the right thing, but it's also a really fucking hard path. I wouldn't change it. Even now, sitting here being told I should go to a fucking bomb shelter, I wouldn't change it. Like, let that be on record. I would not change it. I would not do it differently. I will not sit silent while I'm surrounded by lies.
I completely agree. And that's it. different situation, but the same basic lack of integrity becoming really, really obvious in the press is what led to me accidentally as well getting into this independent journalism thing that I also did not mean to get into. It was not my intention. I didn't realize I would. It just happened. And it is for the same basic reason, which is understanding the lies that were being spread in the media were so far from reality, and knowing that something had to be said in the vacuum between what was real and their lies. And so I think a lot of us have come from that experience of just realizing that somebody has to speak up. I love Cassandra right now for tweeting like she is as well. She's doing a great job. Okay, so I'm going to check chat real fast. Thank you all for sticking with us through this. RSFO, thank you for these links. Shelley, thank you. I've got a Syrian live stream from Hope. Much appreciated. An independent outsider's given us a Trump tweet I'm going to look at in a second. And Susie wrote group hug, and I totally agree with that. So.
I don't usually get into the memes so much, but when your enemy is nearly defeated and final victory is at hand, gas your own people so that nations greater than yours will intervene to destroy you. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Someone taking the piss. My acerbic Kiwi sense of humor, I can actually appreciate that dark humor even in one.
I saw that meme. That was from Adam a few days ago, or at least that's the first time I saw it. Was Adam Carter. So he has a good sense of humor with that. But yeah, no, it's completely ridiculous. It's just absolutely obvious that Assad did not perpetrate that attack. I would bet all of my money and my life on the US being behind that attack. So 3 minutes ago, WikiLeaks posted, ISIS, financed by Saudi Arabia, used chemical weapons in at least 52 times in Syria and Iraq, according to the New York Times, citing London IHS conflict monitor. I don't know if you've already talked about that, Susie, but totally does not surprise me. I mean, what we're helping Saudi Arabia do in Yemen is so disgusting and despicable. To even pretend that we give a damn about 60 dead people in Syria is laughable and disgusting. Yeah, thank you, Brian. I can see you on Twitter and in chat. I appreciate all of your help here.
What would be really awesome, you guys, because I don't have the composure to do it right now, but it's what I would usually do when there's something like this, is if someone will please create a Twitter list and add in all of the news sources. Joe, I have no idea why you're thanking me, but I would just like to say thank you. I fucking love you. You have been amazing. You have stood by the party and stood by me relentlessly. So please know that, Joe, you've been a fantastic friend and a fantastic human being. Not that I'm saying goodbyes or anything, but I'll just get that out there. So, I mean, obviously, so is Elizabeth being here with me every single minute. Griffin, I love it when Susie drops F-bombs. I usually try not to just cuss my head off on a stream, but I think that this is probably one instance where I can be forgiven for it.
We're not going to do HA's profanity alert, Susie, not even in
yeah, exactly. Usually I'll do a profanity alert in honor of HA, but not tonight.
Yeah, not needed tonight.
Shelley, can you link us your Twitter list, please? With a quotation at the beginning and the end of it.
Yeah, okay, So Krakatu sent us a Trump link, and obviously it's from 30th of August 2013, and I actually do remember that time period. It was the summer of 2013. I remember Obama's speech about the red line and Syria, and you know, he was getting into his really like war hawk stage. And so obviously Trump tweeted, "The president must get congressional approval before attacking Syria. Big mistake if he does not." The fucking irony.
Even though these people were not medical professionals, we did not see any patients exhibiting symptoms of chemical poisoning.
Who cares what the I'm really beyond this whole chemical weapons thing, because who cares what the fucking pretext is if the outcome is war. I'm really beyond caring. If the outcome is killing 1,300 people, then what does it matter how you killed 60?
My computer is about to die. It's like an 8% battery, so I'm gonna cut off my video really fast and get the charger set up. I'll be right back.
Shelley, did I miss your Twitter list? Guys, do some of you guys who are regulars and know us well, do you want to jump in the Zoom with us? Joe, do you want to jump in the Zoom? Are you able to? Independent outsider, would you like to jump in the Zoom? I'm happy to bring in some hey, you guys. Okay, those of you who want to focus on protesting and organizing and doing something about this shit, go to @WorldBeyondWar on Twitter. This run by the 2-time Nobel Peace Prize nominee, like a real Nobel Peace Prize nominee, one who's actually worked for peace all of their life, David Swanson. I know him personally. If you watch Kiwi in Moscow episode 2 on YouTube, you'll see me and him together and me interviewing him. He is an amazing human being. He's spent his entire life writing books against war and is 100% for peace. So check out @WorldBeyondWar because they are coordinating nationwide actions tomorrow. So support them for anti-war actions around the United States.
I'm back, and I will definitely do that. I'll go follow his account. My computer is now plugged in, so it won't die.
Kelly, I can't find your Twitter list. Can someone make us up one, please? Because I'm inundated with sources at the moment, which doesn't bother me if I'm not also on a stream at the same time, but it's kind of difficult to do both things. RT has got amazing coverage. They've got tons of photos, tons of videos, tons of interviews. I'm actually quite amazed that they've pulled this all together so quickly. It's pretty incredible. By contrast, CBS, who I'm looking at right now, has nothing but the official statements from the president and the Pentagon. A displaced civilian from East Ghouta just posted on Facebook, "I escaped years of bombing only to be bombed again."
Okay, I just saw this. Thank you for Brian. Brian tagged you and I on Partisan Girl's statement, and I don't know where she's getting this, but she says report Russian jets were heading towards Al-Tanf Air Base, an illegal U.S. airbase on the Euphrates border, so the attack was cut short. So Russian jets were heading to the American illegal base, so black side, I'm assuming. And so
is that when the Pentagon said, "Oh no, our operation's over, everything's hunky
dory"?
dory?
Yeah, no, we're fine. Yeah, exactly. Bastards. Cowards.
Yeah, I'll just share screen. Look at Rania. She's just been amazing. Russia's response is likely going to happen in East Deir ez-Zor. Syrian military forces have been building up there for much of the month. They want to retake the oil fields from the US-backed forces.
That makes sense.
Rania says, cooler head. Oh, okay, so here we go. Kate Brennan. Who is Kate Brennan? Deputy Managing Editor at Just Security, formerly of Politico and Foreign Policy and Defense News. Based on the target list outlined tonight at the Pentagon, it appears the course of action supported by Mattis and Dunford was ultimately the one selected by President Trump versus an even more aggressive approach. And Rania says cooler heads have prevailed, and by cooler heads, I mean people who understand that starting World War III is a bad idea. I'd just like to say, I completely agree that World War III is already happening. I wrote an entire article, and like 7,000 or 8,000 word article called Understanding World War III. If you go and read that article, I use the lead up to World War II to prove that we, for a number of years now, have already been in the lead up to World War III, that we are actually in it. It just hasn't been declared yet. The question tonight is whether this was going to be the event that ultimately forced a public declaration of World War III. That's the difference, because that's when the public are actually told, yes, this is a world war, even though one has been raging for years prior. And that's exactly how it was in World War II. In World War II, the public weren't told, yes, this is a world war until 1939, but the first incursions happened in 1933. So, and there was some precursor shit in the 5 years before that, but primarily 1933. So there was 6 years of military incursions across the borders of countries, and countries being like ravaged wholesale before the public of the world was allowed to be told by the governments, yes, we're in a world war. That's the same situation we're in now. There has been World War III for years already. All of this, if you go through my article, I actually table the chronological progression of the military incursions and the responses by the native countries where the incursions are happening, because you can track how close you are to the public declaration of war by the level of pushback, the level of resistance. So there was, Afghanistan was like whatever, some Taliban fighters or whatever. Iraq, we actually saw like the various death squads and everything, and the proxy forces. Libya, it was some rebels, but not really serious resistance. Syria is the first serious armed resistance, open resistance. Whatever happens after this, the next step would be the point at which the resistance is so strong that countries are openly combating other countries, as they have been since 2015 in Syria, but at a level where it can no longer be ignored by the powers involved, at which point they do notify the public that yes, there is a world war. So this shit is not a joke. This is not a maybe it will happen. This has been going on for years. We're all stuck in the middle of it. All of us, no matter where we are, even the Kiwis, even the New Zealanders.
So the fact that we've illegally invaded Syria is now the defense for why we're illegally bombing Syria. Caitlin Johnstone retweeted a tweet from Julian Borger, who said, Secretary of Defense Mattis on the legal justification for SyriaStrike is that US troops in Syria are in Syria, and we don't have time to wait until there's a chemical attack when they are being used in the same theater we're operating in. That is the most fucked up excuse that I have ever heard. We've already invaded, therefore we get to bomb whoever the fuck we want.
Syria under attack. Trump has betrayed us. The MAGA cult now has no integrity. The warmongers and the shills win. Those are Trump supporters. This is going to massively undermine his support base. Not that he gives a shit, because now he'll just be supported by the intelligence agencies. But
and one of the reasons that people voted for Trump was because, and I voted Jill Stein, but one of the reasons that some people did vote for Trump was literally and seriously because they felt that it would be less of a chance of entering World War III with Russia, because Hillary Clinton said she would create a no-fly zone over Syria, which would instantly get us into a World War III scenario. So the fact that Trump is now doing this is going against everything that he was elected for. And I just, on what Suzie was just saying about his base and his re-electability, this is, if he continues on this path, he will absolutely face, I hope, absolute disgust from the people that voted for him that have any integrity. Because I know obviously some people don't, but.
Residential area burning in Damascus. Trump is murdering the people of Damascus, the oldest inhabited city in the world, to save Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda, who was originally armed and trained by who? 30 years ago. The CIA. At this point, I have zero tolerance for trolls. I'm just like, block.
I'm talking with my friends from Disobedient Media, and I'm conferring with them, and they are agreeing with me that Trump is a spineless, hypocritical coward. So none of the conservatives that I know are at all defending him, not even a little bit, at all. And I think that that at least says something good about those people.
Done in Obama.
Yeah, exactly.
He
literally
done in Obama. I'm literally going to tweet that.
Yeah, no, he really is. Hope and Change was the equivalent. It was the left equivalent to the right's MAGA. It's the same basic hope that the person you're trying to elect will change things in whatever way, even if it's in a different way. They both wanted change, and they've gotten the same neoliberal shit in both instances.
Crap out of me.
Yeah.
Crap out of me is I actually had this realization like a day or two ago about Jeremy Corbyn. Like Jeremy Corbyn is a candidate standing for election, and he's saying we wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that, wouldn't do the other thing, wouldn't do blah blah blah. You know, we're for the people, for the housing, for the healthcare, for the blah 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 blah.
No WikiLeaks, we like Assange, all of that. Yeah,
exactly. But and sure enough, everyone's like, yeah, you know, you're our savior. But is he really? I don't know. I genuinely find it hard to believe in anyone at this point.
I agree.
I'll be right back. I'm just going to get the drink.
Yeah, not a problem. Randy Credico tweeted 2 minutes ago, you don't have to wait for the disinformation campaign. It started when General Mattis started moving his loose dentures. At this moment, I'm really, really thankful for Randy and his sense of humor because it helps a little bit. And yeah, actually, my friend pointed out to me that you have this event, and I don't know if they want me to share this or not, but I'm going to anyway. So you have this event where Cohen and his documents were raided. So there is a possibility that this is at least maybe in part, like they basically told Trump that they had stuff on him and he's too much of a coward to stand up to them. And so they may have been like, you know, re-emphasizing their leverage over him, whatever that may be. And I honestly don't give a damn what it is. So, because when you sign up to be president, you sign up to be a whole lot braver than what we're seeing from Donald fucking Trump right now. So the Lebanese army says that 4 Israeli aircraft violated Lebanese airspace at dawn today west of Junea City, the city of Baalbek, and continued to fly for 10 minutes. Interesting. I don't know where they're getting that from. It's just an image, I guess, a screenshot from online coverage, maybe. Yeah, and any Trump supporters that are listening to this, and I know that there are going to be some, don't, you know, when Suzie and I are rightfully really, really fucking angry about this, this is not us turning into like Democrats, because Democrats get angry at Trump because he's too nice to Russia and they get mad at Trump for the bullshit reasons that are not based in reality, or they get mad at Trump about lies. Suzie and I are angry about Trump based on the truth and what he's done this evening, which is kill 1,000 people that did not deserve to die, shouldn't have died, and he's committed a war crime, and that is absolutely right to get fucking angry about. There is no way to defend this. And even the conservatives who I, really respect and admire, because I know that they have integrity, even though I disagree with them politically on a number of issues, they are not defending Trump right now. They shouldn't be. They have integrity and they are recognizing that this is bullshit. So I'm going to check chat because I know that Suzie's gone for a second here, and I appreciate you guys putting up with us, just kind of having a few silent minutes here. No, and Griffin says, hold up, Elizabeth, you don't know that they killed anyone. I've seen reports that it's 1,000 people in Damascus killed. We don't know how many of them are civilians, but I would assume it would be a good number.
1,389.
Yeah, exactly. So Griffin, we do have numbers on that. Like, we're not just pulling that out of our ass. There actually are reports.
Just to update you, Russian news is not reporting or is not telling Russian citizens to go to bomb shelters. Okay. And nobody even knows where a fucking bomb shelter is either. So that was obviously a piece of fake news.
Interesting.
If there was an attack on Russian soil, it really is the end of the world, literally. So that's probably why there are no one. I don't know what Cold War shit like people have got their heads in to think that to tell us that.
And it's really interesting too that we have this pre-dawn attack when people are sleeping in their homes. They don't have time to flee. And it's just like we saw in Iraq. They went in the early morning, just before dawn. And it's the same sadistic, psychopathic bastards running the military that have done this again. Because they don't have term limits, so. Eric, I'm fucking furious too. Yeah, the military industrial complex does get billions to do this because they're the ones that are creating the bombs that we're throwing at people.
Look,
so
sorry, Elizabeth, sorry to jump in. This whole like Trump did it to show that he'll act. Like Brian Crosby, I know you're a beautiful person and I'm not meaning this personally towards you at all, but this is the type of narratives that get bandied about here to show that he'll act. No, he didn't show that he'll act. Did he fly a fucking fighter bomber jet? Like, did he go and like pick up a gun and fight? No, he sat in some like military bomb-proof bunker in the middle of fucking nowhere ordering 1,389 people to be executed. Like, this is not showing he will act. This is just, I'm so sick of this language because these people are cowards. These are people that would shit their pants if they were even fucking anywhere near what's actually going on the ground. Like, to them, you look at, I remember this from when I wrote Understanding World War III. I was studying photos of Hitler and his fucking war planners. And they're like, to them, the war in Europe was a map with little like pointers and pegs on it. They had no fucking idea what it was actually like on the ground. They were ordering people off to the slaughter by the millions, but they weren't doing it. They were literally in a fucking bunker. And it's like that board game Risk, that was all I could think about it too. I think I even put this in the article. That board game Risk, where it's like a geopolitical game, you have a bunch of countries and little armies, and you're just moving the little pointers around, right? There's the same thing. All these fucking NSA and there's everyone else with their, like, have you seen those photos of the NSA? It literally looks like the Star Trek Enterprise, and they deliberately made it look like that.
I have seen that image. Yeah.
They fantasize that they're participating in a war, but they're actually on a fucking movie set. And to them, it's just big screens and, you know, shit flying everywhere, moving resources around and troops and whatever the fuck.
Cool graphics on the screen.
In the last 5 minutes.
But I want to say to Hoodie Woman Louisiana, who is, as far as I know, new to our chat, thank you for joining us. She said, but US must have our war. We must protect the petrodollar and increase the arms sales. Fuck. And I completely agree. I think one thing when we're talking about this is absolutely to protect the American petrodollar, to protect the, open up Syria to that oil pipeline, which will help America keep its dominance in that arena. And that's why we're bombing on behalf of ISIS. It's because we are bombing on behalf of Saudi Arabia. We are also bombing on behalf of Israel. And that is ridiculous to me. Like, we are on the same side now with ISIS that we were against, apparently, allegedly, in the second Iraq war. So in looking at this, it shows the level of lies on all fronts, on all these wars. It's completely repulsive and disgusting on every level, because what we're going to do if we go in there and continue to bomb Syria, I mean, we've already been fighting in Syria for a lot of years now, but if we continue to have these massive airstrikes, what we will be doing is we will be destroying a secular country and opening it up to the Islamic State and ISIS, which will come in and absolutely destroy the nation as it is. And then you will have millions of people that will have to leave the country, be displaced, become immigrants, and then it just never ends. Like, the destruction and the pain doesn't end with these bomb strikes. It doesn't end ever. And that's why in Libya you still see people being sold on the streets in slave markets. You still see people. There is lawlessness in Libya now. And that's a report from Reuters a week ago. Literally a week ago, Reuters said specifically, yes, Libya now, currently 7 years later, is still a god-awful chaotic mess. That's what we're doing to Syria right now. So our country is now on the side of evil. That's what it's doing right now. We are the evil empire in this moment. And I really want Americans to understand that our government in our name is absolutely doing something so reprehensible and so evil. There is no excusing it whatsoever. None. Yeah, maybe they'll name a caliphate after Trump. Yes. That would be about right. So yeah, and not only do we actually fund and arm ISIS. So from the research I did for my article on Assange being silenced, possibly in preempting this attack on Syria, I looked at there obviously we have examples of the WikiLeaks documents, the publication of the Podesta emails showed that they know that Qatar and these Sunni powerhouses in the Gulf are funding ISIS. ISIS now has $2 billion. It is richer than some sovereign nations. And that's because the US and its Gulf allies that prop up the petrodollar are the ones funding ISIS. So we are against right now a secular nation on behalf of the Islamic State and the craziest versions of this that exist. And it's just despicable. It's despicable. And then you have liberals like Macron supporting that. You have Theresa May supporting that. It just, like, we all come together and it's all happy families across the planet when we're bombing people. Sorry, I just had an interruption in my actual real life I had to deal with for a second, but it's fine. Yeah, so I think talking about the petrodollar and talking about the fact that this is what is driving this is absolutely crucial, because it's important to not even focus on the BS lines about this gas attack. Not even like looking at that. We have to look at what is actually causing this situation, and has caused this for years. And actually, yeah, and IJVO 1951 says Russia and China moving away from the petrodollar. I think that's true. But if you can find a documentation of that, that would be really great, because actually I was looking that up earlier today and I was trying to find whether or not that could be verified. If there were any reports at all about Russia and China moving away from the petrodollar, which is absolutely the would be a cause for this type of aggression as well, because I believe, and correct me in chat if I'm wrong, but the last two countries to move away from the petrodollar was Iraq and Libya, I believe. So if that is the case, if we can show that, then that would be very, 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 very interesting. So if you guys can look up whether Russia and China were actually going off the petrodollar, that would be fascinating. I would really like to see that.
Guys, I've just changed the name and details of the video to Suzie, SyriaStrike, OSINT with Suzie Dawson, Elizabeth Lea Vos, because we've gotten so far away from the stone docks, and I don't think that I'm going to have, like, seriously the energy or the fortitude to analyzing stone docks tonight. I'm actually so annoyed that it's taken me away from it that I'm probably going to get it, arrange a extra episode of Decipher You next week with Elizabeth. I deeply appreciate everybody who's been here with me tonight. People who've watched me many times on live stream would never have seen me get emotional in that way before. It is fucking horrible what is happening, and yes, tonight I'm just going to swear every time I feel like it, because it's the only way that I can express my own hurt, anger, disappointment and concern and empathy for those people who've lost their lives tonight. I'm also really cognizant of the fact that tomorrow thousands and thousands of people around America will speak up and kick the shit out of the government for what has been done. And I really appreciate and respect every single anti-war activist in this world and here in this channel with us who is going to do that. And now that would be the thing that actually makes me cry, is knowing that people will stand up against this and will not be a part of it, and will make that known. And I deeply appreciate Elizabeth too, who's just stood by me through thick and thin and just been an incredible, incredible friend. So thank you all for being here. I'm not going any, I sure as hell can't sleep right now. So I'm just going to stick it out for as long as you guys will put up with me.
Absolutely. I think it's really important that we have somebody from that's in Russia and somebody that's in the US, who are the major powers on each opposite pole of this, talking about how much we hate that this is happening. And I think that that is important in and of itself. And the fact that we were here already streaming when this started, like you were saying, there's going to be a bullshit line that they spin about this, but we were here reporting right when it was happening. And I just think that's important.
Brian Crosby, I actually, here's something absolutely no one knows, even Elizabeth. This week I actually started researching a second part to understanding World War III.
Okay, interesting.
Article. And I started it by researching proxy wars, the history of proxy wars throughout the last several hundred years. And I already started, because I didn't know very much about the history of them. And I've already learned a ton of stuff, but I can tell you something that I found that was very, very interesting. There are proxy wars on this globe right now that we don't even know a proxy war, that the average person doesn't even know a proxy wars. Myanmar is one example of those. Myanmar, Burma, what used to be known as Burma, is in fact a proxy war that's been raging for the last 70 years. It's a proxy war that involves a number of countries, I think about 6 different countries. What I found when I started studying the proxy wars is that there are countries that oppose each other in one proxy war that are on the same side in another one. And I'm not going to name names because it's part of some of the big findings that are made already. But there are countries who are allied and enemies at the same time in different wars, which to me is just the quintessential example of how insane war is.
Extremely insane. I was just firing off an angry tweet. You can probably see my face looking angry. Well, actually, it wasn't a tweet, it was a DM, a very angry DM. So From what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like there is anything else happening right this minute, but if anything else does happen, we will be right here to report on it. So and there's so much to report on tomorrow, and I absolutely, if there is any organization, if there is any sort of anti-war protest that I can make in my, like, within 5 hours of driving, I will absolutely try to do it.
Some new tweets by Ronnie Kalik, that sadistic psychopath Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, really.
Is congratulating Trump.
Of course he is. I think I.
Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking choke.
I think I saw Glenn Greenwald tweet about that. You know, I think he.
Oh my God! But look at the second half. He has done nothing but agitate for war.
So again, I see the use of pinpointed limited action. That's really, you can tell that's the CIA and deep state line. All of the media said precision strike. You have Schumer, a war hawk, saying limited and, you know, directed and precise. That is their line. It's their bullshit line. And that'll be the bullshit line that goes in the history books, just like Suzie was saying. On Friday the 13th, a precision strike against Syria happened. Bullshit.
Well, there's at least one senator questioning the official narrative. Here we go. President Trump announces US will pull out of Syria, and days later, Syrian government bombs women and children in an area of no strategic value. So the whole world would bomb the hell out of Syria. It doesn't make any sense. Praying this doesn't start World War III. Senator Richard D. Black. Where is he from? Virginia. Really? Seriously? How did someone who's anti-war get into Virginia?
Well, it says he's a Purple Heart veteran, so maybe
VA Veterans Administration.
Yeah, because those
sounds like VA like Virginia. Surely not. It can't be. It's like the home of the CIA.
But if he's a veteran, maybe he knows well enough and doesn't want to see that happen to more people. But I don't know.
And it's Rania Kellett telling us 4 days ago that they were plotting to attack Syria.
That is one of the worst feelings, is seeing your own government do that and plot, and the knowledge that you can't do anything about it. That you can't stop it, you know?
Okay, this is one of my favorite accounts. They're going to have a ton of interesting stuff, guaranteed.
Yeah, they're a good account.
It's an Occupy Media account, and they're onto it. SyriaStrikes. I thought Congress had the exclusive authority to wage war. This is what happens when the executive branch is left to run amok. There is no legal authorization for war. These strikes are a violation of international law. Impeach. Glenn, the Pelosi statement, like other leading Dems, shows the party's meek, empty talking points. 1, he should have asked Congress, and 2, he needs a strategy. They won't condemn the bombing on its merits because so many support it. GOP will cheer, only opposition on fringes of each party. Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic leader, has issued a strong rebuke of Trump. Fuck, oh my God, I am going to vomit. Nancy Pelosi, one of the biggest warmongers in the US government. Oh, she wants more. She wants more.
Of course she does. Of course she does. That makes sense.
Airstrikes is not enough. Oh, sick psychopath. Oh.
Trudeau supports it.
Live blogging or something. It must be.
Yeah, no, they do that. I've seen them do that before.
Live blogging war. Jesus Christ, this is what it's come to. Yes, these strikes are clearly illegal, but Congress has spent decades meekly standing by while presidents bomb without congressional approval. So rather than hiding behind cheap and empty legalisms, Democrats and GOP should say if they approve the bombing assault or not, you know, on its merit, approve the bombing assault on its merits. A senior Democrat in Washington, Chuck Schumer, praises Trump's bombing campaign in Syria, meekly saying Trump should just be careful not to let it escalate. Nothing unites both parties and DC elites behind their leader, even Trump, like bombing others.
I'm going to say this one more time. If anybody's listening and you have the time to Google some stuff or DuckDuckGo or Bing, just look, anything other than Google would be preferable. But if you can look up whether it's true that Russia and China were both moving to go to back away from the petrodollar, that would be really interesting to be
They
able
released
to
did you not know that? They've released a competing currency.
No, I knew that, I heard that, but I didn't know if it could be confirmed because I looked it up and I couldn't find any confirmation. Maybe I just didn't use the right search terms. But
yeah, but that's been discussed at BRICS and stuff for like donkey's years as well.
Okay.
Okay, Canada has gone on record in support.
Of course they have.
Disgusting. Oh, how do you take the horrible people out of the tweet?
I don't know, but I just block people if I see them like being in support of this or whatever. I just don't even care.
112 Tomahawk missiles launched at Syria, each cost 1.87 million to make. That's 224 million total. Yeah, you know, it's all good to tally up this the dollars, but think about the dollars spent on all the manpower and all the everything else. It's probably into the billions, right? Estimated cost to replace Flint's pipe. Oh, you're joking me. It's only 50. Oh, you are joking me. It's only $55 million to get Flint clean water.
Yeah,
oh
exactly. And they're still letting children get lead poisoning anyway.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. The world believes the United States to be the greatest threat to world peace. The US beats out all challenges by a wide margin. Tonight, we are reminded why the US inspires so much dread. Statement by the Ambassador Antonov on the strikes on Syria. A pre-designed scenario is being implemented. Again, we are being threatened. We warned that such actions will not be left without consequences. All responsibility for them rests with Washington, London, and Paris. The US, the actual statement says, the US, the possessor of the biggest arsenal of chemical weapons, has no moral right to blame other countries. Why would anyone believe a charlatan like Emmanuel Macron? Days ago, Macron warmly embraced Saudi mass murderers whose hands are soaked in the blood of Yemen's children. The claim that Macron is attacking Syria to protect human rights is risible. I'm just going to keep retweeting this retweet until everybody knows about this fake news service guy.
Yeah, I'm going down your feed right now and retweeting the retweets.
Google is pursuing the Pentagon's giant cloud contract quietly, fearing an employee revolt because like 3,000 or something Google employees are protesting their Google doing AI for the Pentagon for drone warfare. Okay, that's one I definitely want to watch later. So I'm going to put that up in a separate window. Max Blumenthal's really good. And he's on Steam it now.
Actually, oh, awesome. Awesome.
Steam it account. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic.
When Western governments claim to want to bomb countries for humanitarian reasons, remember the true reasons for which France spearheaded the destruction of Libya, which we know from WikiLeaks files was about oil.
Yes. And we know that our position towards Venezuela is about oil. And we know every position we have is about oil, basically. So none of this is surprising, but I mean, they really do. I mean, it's interesting that even when we call out the fact that this is bullshit, this whole idea of this gas attack. Oh, and by the way, Aresh, thank you. I see that your documentation of the currency issue. So thank you. I appreciate it. But when we talk about this, you know, like even just refuting the fact that Assad gassed his own people, it is still distraction from the fact that this is about oil, and this is about a pipeline, this is about the petrodollar, and this is about helping the Sauds, and this is about helping Israel.
This is why I love David Swanson, why he's one of my favorite people I've ever met and spent time with. This is his official statement from World Beyond War, his organization. Donald Trump has just committed a murderous, immoral, criminal action and sought to depict it as law enforcement, said David Swanson, the director of World Beyond War, a non-profit global organization opposed to all warfare. Congress has sat on its hands, failed to cut off funding, and failed to move on impeachment. It is to be hoped that those Congress members who said such an attack on Syria would be impeachable will at least find the decency now to act after the fact. Trump may have acted just in time to prevent any reports from inspectors weakening his propaganda, said Swanson. This is a disturbing replay of the 2003 attack on Iraq, which Trump supported at the time, condemned on the campaign trail, and has now imitated. But it is critical for us to eject the nearly universal pretense that proof of use by Syria of chemical weapons, just like proof of WMD possession by Iraq, would somehow constitute legal or moral grounds for committing additional criminal actions, potentially far more serious actions that risk confrontation between nuclear-armed governments. While the New York Times tell us that Trump has acted to punish Assad using what Trump calls precision strikes, such strikes have a long history of being anything but precise, and the people dying have a habit of not being their nation's leader. No court has authorized Trump to punish anyone, of course, and the claims of Secretary of so-called Defense Mattis, so-called defense, it's a really bloody good point, actually, because not defending anything. So-called Defense Mattis, that attacking Syria as defensive can hardly pass the laugh test. Yeah, I literally couldn't even get through the sentence without laughing. Hardly pass the laugh test with even the most war-prone lawyers. This criminal action is a blatant violation of the UN Charter and of the Kellogg-Briand Pact, both of which Congress likewise prefers to ignore in order to focus on its own supposed power to authorize such crimes. And yet the same Congress will not stand up and defend that power, but rolls over on your men so pitifully that Trump could expect no consequences from Capitol Hill for his latest outrage. If an AUMF, an authorization for the use of military force, could legalize this action, the fact remains that there isn't one that even remotely claims to do so. Trump takes us for fearful children when he resorts to the tired propaganda of calling a foreign leader an animal and a monster, and pretending that war made against a country is somehow actually made against only an individual. In reality, of course, the bombs always kill people depicted, sometimes accurately, as having suffered under the rule of the monster. It's so, yes, the Syrian people are victims, so let's bomb them. Bottom line. The fact is that Syria, its opponents, the United States, Russia, and other parties active in Syria for years now. Oh, feedback.
Oh, sorry.
Have killed many thousands of people using murderous weapons of war. That a relatively small number of people may have been killed with chemical weapons in the possession of multiple parties in this war, is no more or less murderous than the ongoing mass murder by respectable bullets and bombs. Such a good point. The use by the United States in recent wars of white phosphorus, napalm, depleted uranium, cluster bombs, and other notorious weapons is no more grounds for some foreign self-appointed global savior to bomb Washington than any events in Syria are grounds for Trump's latest flaunting of his apparent impunity. Trump mocks all of humanity with his claim to be praying for peace while imposing war. Will humanity continue to roll over and take it? Will the United Nations begin to do its job? Will the people and parliaments of Britain and France rise to the occasion? will the people of the United States pursue strategic and escalating non-violent action arising out of this weekend's events? We shall see. David Swanson is a fucking hero. And you can support him at worldbeyondwar.org.
And thank you, Aresh, for the links that you're sending. They're incredibly helpful, and I will be reading them all later. That may be old news to others, but it's not old news to me, so I appreciate it. Oh, look, breaking. This is, I think, a while ago, but it said, NATO expresses support for US-led strikes on Syrian regime. Of course they do.
Spring Against War is the hashtag.
Okay.
Spring Against War for the actions that are today.
It's really nice to see that already popping up. That's awesome. And Twitter is still telling me to follow the NSA, which is hilarious.
Wow, Stop the War UK is right now protesting outside Downing Street.
Really? Is there a feed of it?
Yeah, there's 4 pics of it actually. There's people who have just showed up. It's so good. I would be, see, this is exactly what if I was in New Zealand or if I was here in London, I would be down there taking pictures and amplifying the crap out of it for these people.
Absolutely.
These people are what gives me hope in this world.
That is amazing.
And they're getting harassed by fucking police. Surprise, surprise. See this? This is called On the Right Side of History. And this
Absolutely.
is called Tool of the State.
Both of those statements are correct, unfortunately.
I love every single one of those people there. Good on them.
This is the type of thing where it's like, this is where people actually wake up and realize, hey, you know, I can do something. There is something that I can do. And that's where you, in whatever way, you sort of become, I don't want to say hero, that's not the right word, but maybe activist, but it puts you on this path of actually standing up that can lead into crazy places. Like Suzie and I were both saying that we didn't intend to be where we are right now, but here we are. And these are the types of things that lead people to do that. And yeah.
Over to you, my co-anchor.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add. I mean, I'm just really, I'm glad that it doesn't seem like they're hitting anymore. There doesn't seem to be any more reports of strikes. So that's good. It's kind of sad to say they're not bombing, and that's good. But it sounds like, from the way that I'm hearing it, it sounds like the Russians did respond, and that's what shut them up. That's what stopped the Americans from continuing.
And the possibilities of climbing an escalation ladder are very real, regardless of what Mattis and Dunford said tonight.
Now, Richard, this is Sean here. You bring up a good point that the Russian forces were invited by the...
I'm wishing that I'd actually got to see some of that RT live coverage. Right. And the funny thing is, like, it's not that I'm like the world's greatest fan of RT. It's actually that they have done a better job of bringing all these sources from the ground. There's like literally, they've got dozens and dozens of like people on the ground, like real people. And they've got their videos and their photos and their everything, and they're compiling it all together. Whereas I read CBS and it's like 300 word statement, you know, by Trump and the Pentagon, that's it. It's like no citizen journalism to speak of.
Now, where, Susie, I've got a question from Uresh, and it's where can we give him the link on the casualties? Because I know that we both saw that, but it's been a couple of hours and I don't remember where the link was.
I definitely retweeted it, so it's definitely on my timeline.
So Uresh, if you're hearing that, go to at Suzie3D on Twitter and look down her timeline. It'll be there. Okay, new development from Uresh. He says that the SAA is intercepting an Israeli drone right now. If you have the link, please throw it in chat. We'd love to see that.
Were you talking about InfoWars before? Was it?
Yeah, I was.
Apparently Alex Jones lost his shit too, and also been saying fuck Trump, fuck Trump.
Yeah, no, that girl a partisan girl who was either in Dubai or Syria, she's an InfoWars contributor, and so I would assume, everybody assumes that InfoWars is right wing, and she was losing her mind about this, and calling it out for being evil and horrific, and so it is good in a sense to see people who would stereotypically be right wing so angry at Trump. I think that's a good thing because it shows that they have integrity, and I think that is something that this whole evil is breaking down these ideological barriers in a powerful way, and I'm glad to see that. At least that's all I'm saying. And yeah. But yeah, it's interesting that apparently the Syrian Air Force is intercepting a Israeli drone. I'm glad that they are. I'm glad they're intercepting these missiles and these drones and these efforts to kill innocent people. I've got way too many tabs open right now. Yeah, well, Christine T says she's not a Trump supporter, but that said that if he didn't do this, someone else would have, et cetera, and that it just shows how the NSA and CIA run this country by proxy the world, and it doesn't matter who's president. I think that is what we see here, because both Trump and Obama ran on hope and change, anti-war, and then became horrific war hawks. I think that if it was Hillary in power, she would have been all for it. I think she's a sadistic psychopath, and I think she would have literally had us all just nuked and would have been happy about it. But I do think that what this does show, whether Trump is a spineless coward, whether he's a hypocrite, whatever the fuck has convinced him to go with the deep state on this, it shows how the deep state does run things, and it does just do whatever the fuck it wants. RDV 102, so I guess CNN talking points, only CNN talking points are allowed here. We've been disparaging legacy press media this entire evening, so I don't know what you're talking about there. Literally, we had an entire discussion about how terrible it is and how it's writing a fake history, so.
I sent Davis once in a very flattering tweet, and he just accused me of having a vodka-fueled, he called it a vodka-fueled wild exaggeration. He said, I'll share this for you guys. Vodka-fueled wild exaggerations are a good way to say goodbye to the world.
I wish. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think I'm now having recollections of us being at a restaurant, and he had like all the different types of Russian vodkas like in this like special like tray where he could like sip each different type. I don't actually drink alcohol, to be honest with you, but David partakes a little bit.
A little bit. That's fine. Yeah. Well, I don't think that we're all going to get nuked this evening or this morning, Susie's time. But this is very, very bad. This is really an escalation that none of us wanted to see. And I'm trying to find that link for Arash with the number of fatalities because, you know, he is a journalist too and he wants to report on this. So trying to find that. It may take me a while to scroll, but we'll see.
You know, talk about first world problems. I'm looking at my tweet where I was like asking people, please, can you donate? And it's like, I have like living costs and legal costs coming out my ears. And now I'm like, I'm thinking I'm going to have to reword this to like, I have legal costs and living costs and Trump might bomb the whole fucking planet. Like, therefore, please donate.
Money will be useless anyway. Why not give it all away?
I actually said that someone tonight. Someone's like, send me a link so that I can donate to you. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm still here tomorrow, like, please, by all means, donate. Like, at the moment, you know. Thank you, Shirley. Oh, so many wonderful people. Man, I haven't even talked to my family. Like, they must be terrified.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to look in chat. If you guys have, I scrolled down Susie's timeline and I haven't seen the link on the fatalities yet. I'll scroll through chat and see if I can find anything. Adam DeMoy says Noble Energy and Genie Energy are behind the strikes, corporate warfare with real missiles and bullets, pipeline wars. And I have heard about the issues with Genie Energy. I know that that is involved with some corrupt as fuck stuff. So I hear you. I understand what you're saying there. And I agree. So. So Syria, Arash a little bit ago said in chat, he said Syria is retaliating with missiles, eyewitnesses on the ground in Damascus. I'm glad that they're fighting back. I hope that they do. They're protecting themselves. They have every right to do that. Yeah, and as Sean King pointed out, you know, about the low cost of 55 million to fix Flint's pipes. What we're seeing right now, the useless deaths of over 1,000 people, is why we can't have nice things in the US. And our people in this country are poor, they're sick, and they're in Flint, they're dying of lead poisoning. We've got pipes leaking through the country with the Keystone Pipeline. You know, our people are suffering too because all this money is spent on military to go kill people for no reason. And so the country here is drained of taxes to pay for that don't come back into this country, and they're not spent on teachers. You have teachers in Oklahoma and other states striking right now because they can't even, like, they're completely run dry. So we are becoming a failed state. We're not just a bellicose fucking evil empire. We're failing our own people in order to go commit war crimes. It is the most horrendous government situation that I can possibly imagine. I don't think it could be much worse than this, unless we were just completely repressed and there was no access to internet and we, you know, military in the streets, which I guess we almost have anyway. But it's about as bad as it could possibly be. So then it will, I think it's going to get worse. And I think that, you know, there are a number of good independent journalists that have been talking about this for years, you know, whether it's Caitlin Johnstone in Anti-War, whether it's AJ Goodman talking about the crimes and corruption of Hillary and her swamp, or whether it's, you know, Jimmy Dore pointing out, and one of the things that Jimmy Dore points out over and over again that really strike me when I watch his segments is that he keeps saying that we, you know, the money is being spent on these foreign, you know, these evil wars that are totally against the law. They are morally wrong. They are disgusting. While, as Sean King points out, we are not taking care of our own country at all. We are, I mean, there are parts of this country that are so shockingly bad that they shock UN representatives who are used to third world conditions. They go to Skid Row in LA, or they go to, I don't know, Detroit, and it's just a fucking nightmare. And so this is something that is affecting the United States as well. It isn't only the horror of people losing their lives, and that is absolutely horrific, but the cost for America is also there because that money isn't being spent on what the government should be doing, which is taking care of its citizens. And so everyone around the world is suffering from this, you know, like Susie's talked about, the people in the Five Eyes countries and all of the other countries that live under US hegemony are all, you know, kowtowing to the US empire. And they're all affected by the surveillance state that results from that. So everyone suffers from this. This isn't like, oh, I'm in America, so therefore I'm okay. We're all, you know, affected by this. And I think, you know, you don't even have to have a lot of empathy. You can be completely self-interested and see that this is the wrong thing. I hope that makes sense, because I think people that are anti-war are often categorized as some sort of bleeding hearts, which is fine because morality is a fucking good thing. And it's what prevents us from being psychopaths like Hillary Clinton. But even in a non-empathetic way, it is, you know, just outright inefficient to be using funds on this type of activity when it should be going to the state and to the citizens that are paying the taxes for this money. So. And sorry about that rant. I just thought I just needed to say that. So, RDV, if you think that this is propaganda, then we're glad to see you go, because this is not propaganda. If you want propaganda, go turn on CNN. And I don't have any idea where you're getting the concept that we're somehow spouting CNN, because we don't give a damn what establishment media says. We don't even look at establishment media for our news and updates on this. We're looking at people that are on the ground in Syria, and we're looking at RT because all they're doing is compiling tweets and pictures from the ground in Syria. So, to everyone else, I you know, I appreciate you being here, and sorry I'm angry, but that message is bullshit. We are the absolute opposite of propaganda, starting with the fact that we're sitting here in our own houses with nothing. We don't have a fucking crew. We don't have music intro. We don't have any of the shit that CNN does. And that's why we're real, because we're not paid. This is our time that we're taking, that we're not profiting from in any way. Go look at Rachel Maddow. She makes 30,000 a day, I believe, or is it way higher than that? It's a lot of fucking money every single day while she advertises war narratives for Raytheon while pretending to be a liberal. We don't do that shit. So I'm glad to see you go. Aresh says that Syrians are rushing to Umayyad Square celebrating the failure of US aggression against Syria. I'm glad that they are doing that. And I think that's a hopefully positive sign. I'm looking at a tweet from Tim Black that somebody's put in chat. And my anger there is only directed at a shill. It's not directed at you all, who I'm so appreciative of sticking with us through these hours of uncertainty here. So yeah, and so Tim Black says, in my, okay, I'm going to share the tweet with you all. Well, the tweet has disappeared. Let me go back. My screen
is reporting from Syria that they targeted a heavily densely populated civilian area.
Of course they did. See, that's the type of bullshit. That's what a precision strike is now. So he says the SyriaStrike angers, and this is Tim Black I'm reading from, and it's the screen I'm sharing with you. It says SyriaStrike angers many Americans from all parties and ideologies. Our government concedes we have no money. See, this is exactly what I was talking about 2 minutes ago. We have no money to fix our roads, waterways, schools, or healthcare, yet repeatedly find money to bomb other countries. We are outraged but not fooled. I 100,000% agreed. And that is exactly what, and this is, you know, this is my anger because I'm living in America. I see the poverty around me, and I see the poverty in other areas of this country, and I see the way that people are being cheated out of the government that they should have, and they're being given bullshit and bombs on other countries. So we have the guilt to live with and the lack of money that is going into these killings. This is genocide with the money that should be used to fix Flint, that should be used to fix crumbling roads. Like, how many times have you heard in the last few months, if you're in America, how many times have you heard about a bridge collapse that has killed people? Like, there are so many examples of our crumbling infrastructure that maybe, you know, people that are outside the US may think that, oh, they're just this evil empire and they're so rich and powerful. They are, we are militarily, but in the sense of a country with any sense of standard of living, it is way below even like Australia, where I've also lived. The standard of living in Australia is much, much higher. The stability is higher than in America. Sorry, Suzie, that's my rant, but absolutely. And so that's why I agree so much with Tim Black, and I'm just going to reply really fast.
Again, if you want to just cancel your screen share for a second.
Sure.
RT is reporting that Turkey's fucking dictator, journalist killing dictator Erdogan is and journalists jailing and everybody else jailing dictator Erdogan is saying that he sees that US-Russia tensions are easing. They launch attacks from Turkish air bases. Like, he is a direct contributor to the escalation of tensions between the US and Russia and everybody else for that matter. I don't think we should be giving airtime to these fucking warmongers, actually. I feel much better about just amplifying the anti-war movements who are trying really hard to do the right thing here.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that rant that I just had is because, like, that's the American perspective. You know, we're sold these wars. The propaganda is given to us, but then it's also given to other countries about us. So we are the evil empire, but we also like are affected by all of this money going into this war apparatus. And it's not on our behalf at all. It's on behalf of the checkbook of Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and the CIA and all of the people that run that machine, and Google and Amazon and etc. List goes on.
You know, I don't even want to watch that. I still haven't watched Trump's stupid speech. Who wants to watch his teleprompter bullshit that somebody else fucking...
Yeah, no, I don't. That has no interest for me.
I have absolutely zero interest in watching his fucking reality TV show. All of those polls over the last few days that said, should we attack Syria? All of them, 90% no, 10% yes, 10% who are directly profiting from it, and 90% who are sane and saying, no, no, not in our name. We do not agree with this.
That's incredible. Yeah, and I'm sure that even on those polls, I'm sure that they, you know, augmented their numbers a bit.
Sarah Abdallah, that's another really good person whose timeline we should be checking out. She says, the terrorists used the airstrike as cover to attack civilian districts in Damascus. Tulsi Gabbard is speaking out against the bombing.
Good. I mean, I expect that of her. She's one of the very few even semi-legitimate politicians. Oh yeah, so WikiLeaks has tweet here. I'm going to share screen on this. I don't want to see Trump give a speech, but I do want to see Alex Jones get hysterical against Trump. So here we go, people. Maybe this will cheer us up slightly. Maybe not. I don't know.
Go ahead. I can't believe I'm saying yes.
Right. So yeah, but it's WikiLeaks. If WikiLeaks tweets it, it's fine. So we've got WikiLeaks tweeting Trump's anti-interventionist base. Let me see when it loads so I can read the rest of it. In this case, Alex Jones reacts badly to Syria intervention. So let's see if I can get this to play. My computer is kind of slowing down right now.
Here in this goddamn fucking world. Damn it, man. What the fuck? Is there nobody fucking pure in this goddamn fucking world? See, now I'm fucking pissed right now. Syria fought Al-Qaeda, they fought ISIS, they fought it all. And now you got Mattis and fucking all these people shitting all over us. And the goddamn fucking liberal fascists censoring us everywhere the last 2 days. We did an emergency fucking 36-hour broadcast trying to stop this shit that could lead to World War III. And you fucking liberal pieces of fucking shit, you fucking assholes, fucking support this. Fuck you. You fucking goddamn degenerate fucks. And fucking Mueller and fucking Comey and fuck you. Every major analyst, see, I shouldn't even be on there right now. Every analyst agrees that this could trigger World War III unlike anything in our history. And the Russians were the good guys battling ISIS and Al-Qaeda. I'm not a Russophile. I've never been to Russia. But I've studied the geopolitics. They are the white knights. And our military 5 years ago joining the Russians to block Obama and the Arab Spring and do the right thing, did the right thing. And now, Mattis looks like a fucking Emperor Palpatine.
Sorry.
And that cocksucker knows full fucking well that Al-Qaeda and ISIS staged all those fucking chemical attacks. And now they're blaming it on the goddamn motherfucking I shouldn't be on there right now. When the fuck are we going live? I can't do this shit anymore. Fuck Trump and fuck these fucking people. At a certain point, man, I'm sick of all you fucking liberals and mainline. You're a bunch of cowardly fucks. You're not Americans. What's going on? Okay. Should we shut these feeds down and delete those? And I'm going to try to control myself. Dude, just shut those feeds down and restart them, okay?
Wow. So I can't tell if he was playing it up for the camera or not, but regardless, I think that was good to see from a conservative. I think that's good because I don't like seeing them blindly following what Trump does just because he's a quote unquote conservative president.
We know InfoWars is a legit source because CNN sourced them 5 times in one article last week about Roger Stone.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying they're a legit news source.
I'm joking you.
Yeah.
I'm dead kidding you. Because I don't know did you see my tweet about that?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, I've got to show you this. It's freaking hilarious. Just finding it.
I'm sending this to a couple of people because I think it's useful.
This is me. I'll never, ever, ever get sick of watching CNN and MSNBC source InfoWars.
That's hilarious.
In that one article, somewhere in here, in the one article they sourced CNN sourced InfoWars 5 times.
That's great. That's
if anyone else sourced InfoWars, the liberal media would ridicule and lambast them endlessly for it. But when it suits CNN to cite InfoWars as a source in order to advance their own political agenda, we aren't supposed to notice the abject hypocrisy.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I'm not making any sort of claim that InfoWars is a good source, but I am glad to see a conservative source angry about this.
This article, this CNN article, cites InfoWars as the source 6 times in one article.
Incredible. That's incredible.
Okay, guys, I think it's question time. So if anyone has questions that they want to ask me about my insane night tonight, I'm more than happy to answer them. Or if you have questions for Elizabeth, please go ahead. I'm just going to try and catch up on chat.
Yeah, that's totally fine with me. It looks like because things are not escalating further, I'm okay with going off the stream in the nearish future. I'm glad that we were here streaming when this happened, and I'm glad that we've gone through and looked at some of the sources on the ground. I think that was helpful. And really, honestly, in like Bibi Hammer saying, uniting against this propaganda, Cold War propaganda, and the anti-Assad, and we have to be anti-war. So, Thomas, no. But basically, we need to definitely, unite in this anti-war movement. And I hope that this has helped galvanize some people to do that. And, I see a number of different people asking if Suzie and I are single. That's really a diversion from what we're looking at. And it's interesting to me to note that 2 different accounts asked that at the same time. So I'm not fazed by that type of crap. But, so Suzie, are you catching up on chat? Anything interesting?
I think I'm just going to relocate to my bed. That might be rather inappropriate timing given the last question.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of sick of sitting with a light in my face. So sorry if you're about to see a bit more haggard version of me. But it's actually, the sun is shining here now.
Yeah, no, and for those who are new, because we have 100, Suzie, we have 100 people watching us right now.
Thank you to the 100.
That for those who don't know, I mean, Suzie gets up. The reason it's dawn there now for her is because she was up at 3 a.m. your time to stream.
Yeah.
So she gets up at 3 a.m. to stream. So by the time we're done, it's dawn. It is the most insane schedule I've ever witnessed somebody actually operate on. And so for those of you who are not usually with us, that's why Suzie needs to lay down, because she's been up since 3 in the fucking morning. So, yeah.
I've been up throughout the whole night so far.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to scroll up and chat. Yeah, thank you all for being here. I deeply appreciate it. I probably would have gone insane tonight if I was by myself and didn't have the company. Thank you to everybody who was sharing all of the links about what was going on and what we call open source intelligence. That you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. It was really, really, really awesome. Really amazing effort.
Absolutely. And I felt better that we were on the stream and speaking with everyone as this happened, because I felt like it was less, alone. Like it wouldn't have been, so kind of that sense of solidarity that we all hate this, that it's all horrific across the fucking globe. You know, we've got Arash in Bangladesh, I'm in the US, you're in Russia, like we're spanning the whole globe in opposing this. And I think that's really, I don't know if the word's comforting. It's not comforting, but it's just a sense of solidarity.
Okay, any news on Assange's welfare? The last that we've heard about that is that his lawyer, he has access to his lawyers in the embassy. He still doesn't have access to his friends and his family or to visitors, but he does have legal support there. And like I said earlier on the stream, we have some big plans for, actually I won't say when they're for, but there is a big project that we're working on at the moment. You will hear more about that early in the new week. So that's really all we know about Julian's welfare at the moment. He's still disconnected from everybody. It's brutal and sick what is being done to him. He's a truth teller. He's an extremely important truth teller for the world. And as you can see, us not having access to his voice at this time is just even worse. Even worse. Thank you, Joe. You've been amazing too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've had some amazing collaborators in this stream with us, providing links, working with us when we needed sources. You know, you guys are also being citizen journalists with us. That's what we all were participating in this evening. It wasn't just me and Suzie by ourselves reporting. You guys were also reporting on this. And so I appreciate that a lot. You know, whether it's Arash or Jenny or Shelley or any of these people, or Jenny Lynn, you're all amazing. And thank you, really thank you. And you know, I'm glad to see that we all participate.
Thank you to Ryan Bannock, who said, what is our partnership status got to do with anything? Thank you very much. Wow, we have someone here from Finland. That's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, we really do cool. On the globe. And I hope that that inspires some of us to go to whatever anti-war protests will be on tomorrow. If I have one in driving distance, I'll go. And if not, then I'll stay here and I will write in that vein. Thank you, Protect What's True, and Crockatoo, and everyone who's been here with us.
I love seeing you guys be so good to each other. The way you're interacting with each other is so awesome. It really does it gives me a lot of hope. Like when I see people being kind to each other and people being helpful to each other and caring about each other. It's really, I feel like I'm losing my voice now, but.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jenny Lynn, I'm not in the vicinity of DC at all. Otherwise I would go too. So RSFO, always awesome to see you. And so many of you provide the most awesome like commentary, and that's what I mean when you guys are also being journalists. I mean, you're providing your thoughts too that are really, really perceptive, and you know, they're really valuable, and your contribution is valuable, and it's really, it inspires me to see you all here participating with us. It really does. So.
Yeah. I did see that the Netherlands confirmed that they will not be contributing to any war effort in Syria or any strikes in Syria, which is awesome. Really, really good.
That's amazing. I'm a quarter Dutch, so I'm proud. But.
Oh, and there's someone here from Holland. That's really cool.
Yeah. Hi. That's awesome.
Okay, guys, so we live to see another day. I'll probably go and get some sleep now. Thank you guys so much. I'll keep my phone close though, so if something happens, I'll know about it. I'd really appreciate you keeping an eye on me over the next couple of days. It really helps me to know that people actually do care. And please do everything you can. You'll see on Twitter in the next 2 days, I'm going to be spam retweeting the hell out of all the anti-war actions across the states, because there are many beautiful people in America who absolutely do not agree with this. And some of them are definitely in this channel. Yeah, none the least Elizabeth, who works her butt off to try spread awareness about.
No, it's just that being in America does not make you the megalomaniac, psychopathic killers that rule us. That's the main thing for me. that people know around the world. The people that are from around the world know that Americans in America think this is disgusting and it's horrible and we don't want to see this happen. And I don't know if that helps at all, but it's not, we don't all act like this. We aren't all fucking monsters like that.
I'm proud of my country. I didn't see a single New Zealander who was happy about this. And I saw every New Zealander, all the commentary I saw from New Zealanders, because obviously being from New Zealand, I still follow shitloads of New Zealanders. Every single one of them said, this is disgusting. We want nothing to do with it. So I'm very, very proud of my home country for that. Absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't call myself an Alex Jones super fan, but I just find it extremely amusing that CNN will so happily like source him when it suits them.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think, as I said, I'll say it again, I think that the conservatives who did back Trump, but who now are fuming angry at him, like Alex Jones is, I think that is a very, very powerful statement to him. And I think if he sees his base losing their mind like this, that will affect him, because I do think that he cares about his public image as far as his base is concerned. So the most effective anti-war activists right now, I think, will be the conservative anti-war activists. And so I think those people need to really make themselves known on social media, out in on the street. Go to an anti-war activist, to an action like Susie's talking about, with your fucking MAGA hat on, and let them know that you won't stand for this shit. Because I think that that is just as effective as anybody else, if not more so, in this particular situation. So it's a thought.
I think that's a really brilliant thought.
I think he'd pay more attention to that than he would, Greens. I think he would just dismiss us, we Bernie people. I think he would dismiss. I think if he sees his base, against this, and as Kathy B says, he does care about his base. I do think that he does. I think he does actually give a damn what people think about him on Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. I think he has a narcissistic streak in that way. And so I think that people that are conservative making that known and their position against this known would possibly be effective.
I'm being sent lovely, hopeful messages by really, really cool people, and I feel extremely grateful for that.
Definitely, me too.
We have been through the full range of emotions tonight for sure. I have been angry, and I've been sad, and I've been depressed, and I've been worried. And you guys really have been like a security blanket for me tonight. Thank you so much for going through this with us, and for caring and for doing what you do. I'm going to get, and thank you so much to people who've been going. I know people are like going in, like finding my website and donating and like just being amazing human beings. And now I'm going to cry.
The world isn't made up of these.
Sleep before I cry. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to do, we will definitely do an extra stream of Decipher You and just get back to the documents, because I don't want to forget that at work.
Definitely not.
Oh, Jenny, I think everything's for a reason. Jenny's saying it sucks that our Decipher You session got interrupted in such a manner. It does, but at the same time, I'm happy that we were all here together. I really am.
Me too.
I'm so grateful that you guys even care about any of this. I'm really, really, really grateful. Thank you so much. Okay.
Love you guys. You're amazing.
I'll stay and chat for a few minutes after the stream, because I'd just like to thank you guys one-on-one, and feel goosebumps. Yeah, really, you're beautiful people. Thank you so much. And we will see you soon. I love you all.
Bye. Thank you. We love you all.
Night, night, guys.